If you wanted to maximize your chances of winning a huge Pauper event with an awesome grand prize, what deck would you play? I recently asked myself that question because of an upcoming Pauper Championship in DFW, and while I was considering powerful decks that I've already featured on the channel like Grixis Affinity, Mono Blue Terror, and Gruul Ramp, another one caught my eye and I thought I would try it in this video. This deck combines the power of Cleansing Wildfire, high-value artifacts, and powerful mid-range threats to help you close the game. Let's give it a try. Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Royce and welcome back to another Pauper video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Jund Wildfire or Jund Midrange, and it's going to be my first time showcasing this deck on this channel. So the reason I'm showing this deck, aside from just it being new and wanting to show off popular decks on my YouTube channel, is that this is the deck I'm going to be bringing to the DFW Pauper Championship. It is a big tournament that last time got a turnout of like 30-35 people, which is pretty big for my area. And last time they were giving away the textless Urza's Saga. This time they're going to be giving away the textless Void Winnower, which is a really big first prize. Last time I didn't win, but I got top 8, so I'm hoping to improve my performance this time around. We'll see if I can, and that's why we're going to be making this video and treating today's Pauper League as sort of a test. So, how does this deck work? It's all built around Cleansing Wildfire. So what this card is, it is 1 and a red for a sorcery, destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle, draw a card. But we don't want to play fair, right? We don't want to just destroy one of our lands and get a different one. We don't want to destroy one of the opponent's lands and have them get a basic. Instead, we are going to target one of our indestructible lands. When you target an indestructible land with Cleansing Wildfire, it won't die because it's indestructible, but you still get to pull a basic out of the deck, so you still get to net the forest, the mountain, or the swamp. And of course, draw the card from Cleansing Wildfire. This will allow us to ramp and get more lands on the table than we usually would have, and start doing things like casting Writhing Chrysalises early, if possible, or creating a really huge Nyxborn Hydra, or a really huge bestowed Nyxborn Hydra. I'll get to that in a second because I want to explain those cards. So for the land base, we have 8 indestructible lands, 4 Drossforge Bridge, and 4 Slagwoods Bridge, because we want to make sure that both of them can support the red cost of the Cleansing Wildfire. And then we have 12 untapped lands. 6 of those are the basics that we can pull out of the deck with the Wildfire. 4 of those are Twisted Landscape, which can do 3 different things. You can play this and just tap it for colorless. You can play this and sacrifice it and grab a different basic out of your deck, but it comes into play tapped. Or you can pay Jund mana, so black and red and green, to discard this to the graveyard and draw a card, which is pretty expensive, but it comes up occasionally. Our last 2 lands are Vault of Whispers, which are just nice because they're untapped black mana. Black is the predominant color in this deck, and we care about artifacts. I'll get back to artifacts in a second, but first let's focus on the threats. Refurbished Familiar is supported by the artifacts which will be in this deck. It's 3 and a black affinity for artifacts, so as long as you have 3 artifacts in play, it's actually just 1 black mana. It is a 2/1 flyer that forces the opponent to discard a card. If they're not able to, you draw a card instead. 1 mana, 2/1 flyer, the opponent discards a card. That's an amazing rate. We'll take that any day of the week. We're going to be playing 4 copies of Writhing Chrysalis. If you've never seen this thing before, I envy you. It is a monster. It just looks like a 4 mana 2/3, but it's a lot better than that. It has a lot of text on it, so basically when you cast it, you get 2 Eldrazi spawns. Even if it gets countered, that's part of the charm of Writhing Chrysalis. It's a cast trigger, not an enters trigger. So you get 2 Eldrazi spawns when they have the ability that they can sack themselves for 1 colorless mana. But when they're sacrificed for any reason, whether they sacrifice themselves or some other card sacrifices them, they will grow the Writhing Chrysalis. Whenever you sacrifice an Eldrazi, this grows by +1/+1. So people say this is really a 2 mana 4/5 instead of a 4 mana 2/3, because you get the 2 mana rebate from the Eldrazi spawns, so that's just 2 mana instead of 4, and this grows by +2/+2 when you sacrifice the 2 Eldrazi, so it's a 4/5 instead of a 2/3. It has other text on there, which makes it only even better. It has reach, so flyers can't get through. It has devoid, so it can't get Hydro blasted or blue elemental blasted. One of the best cards in the format, no question. And then we have Nyxborn Hydra, which is like a green creature fireball. So you can cast this in one of 2 ways. If you just want to cast it as a creature, you totally can. It is 1 green pip plus X, which means each additional mana that you pay into it will give it a +1/+1 counter. So if you pay 6 mana, so a green and then 5 of any other color, this comes into play as a 5/6. If you pay 10 mana, it comes into play as a 9/10. But you can also bestow it, which means you pay X green, green. And when you bestow it, instead of it coming into play as a creature, it comes into play as an aura enchantment, which is attached to another creature that you control. So you can put it on anything you want. So let's say you pay 7 mana to bestow it to the Refurbished Familiar. You don't get any benefit from the 2 green that you have to pay to bestow it, but you do get a benefit from the remaining 5 mana, which means that the Refurbished Familiar, which used to be a 2/1, will now be a 7/6 flying, trample, reach creature, because it also bestows its own abilities. When the Refurbished Familiar leaves the board, if it's bounced or destroyed or something like that, the Nyxborn Hydra will still stick around as a 5/6 trample reach itself. So you gotta kill it twice. Really strong card, it's a game closer, it has reach. This is sort of our win condition a lot of the time if we're having trouble getting through in the mid game. Now that we've talked about the threats, let's talk about a few of the other packages that make this deck spin. So, first of all, we have the Artifact package, which you're probably used to if you've seen Affinity, although a lot of decks in the Pauper metagame right now are taking advantage of these cards. We have 4 copies of Ichor Wellspring, which draws a card when it comes into play and when it enters the graveyard. We have 4 copies of Deadly Dispute, so you pay 1 and a black to sacrifice a creature or artifact. You get 2 cards, you draw 2 cards, and you make a treasure token, which is just good for one-time mana of any color. Eviscerator's Insight, we have 2 copies of that. It's similar to Deadly Dispute. It's different in the fact that you don't get a treasure, but it is also better in the sense that you can flash it back. So you can pay 4 and a black to exile it from your graveyard and just do it again. Sacrifice a creature or artifact and draw 2. So this is, going to draw 4 cards per copy as long as you can use the first half and the flashback. Other artifacts in the deck, we have Nihil Spellbomb for some main deck graveyard hate, which can come in handy against a lot of random decks in the meta, different situations. We have 2 copies of Blood Fountain, so it's 1 black. It enters play, it's an artifact itself, and it also brings in a blood token, which allows you to pay a mana and sacrifice it, discard a card and draw a card. But also, more importantly, the blood token is fodder to things like Deadly Dispute, Makeshift Munitions, Clan Shaman, stuff like that, which I'll get to in a second. But Blood Fountain also sort of supports the late game of decks like this because you can pay 4 mana and sacrifice the Blood Fountain to get 2 creatures back from your graveyard to your hand. For the rest of the artifact package, we have 2 copies of Lembas. 2 mana. When it enters, you scry 1 and draw 1. You can pay 2 mana and sacrifice it to gain 3 life, or you can just use this as fodder to sacrifice to some other effect. And anytime Lembas enters the graveyard, it gets shuffled back into the deck. And then I guess I would also include Makeshift Munitions as part of the artifact package here. Once this resolves, it's just an enchantment that sticks around. You can pay 1 mana and sacrifice an artifact or a creature to deal 1 damage to any target, including a creature or the opponent. This can be sort of a closing burn damage win condition, sort of akin to Nyxborn Hydra, or you can use it to control the board against some decks that really care about keeping certain things alive. Makeshift Munitions is really, really good against mono blue fairies, for instance. We also have a removal package. Makeshift Munitions is included in that. But in addition to munitions, we have the Clan Shaman plus Toxin Analysis combo. Clan Shaman, if you haven't seen it before, allows you to sacrifice an artifact to deal 1 damage to all non-flying creatures on the board, including itself, but you can put multiple activations of Clan Shaman on the stack, and before any of them start to resolve, you can do that. That way you can, sweep for 3 or 4 or 5 damage, however many artifacts you have on the board that you're willing to sacrifice. So we will do it that way sometimes and just use Clan Shaman on its own, but paired with Toxin Analysis, it's even stronger. This, for 1 black mana, allows you to give the Clan Shaman Death Touch and Lifelink, which means that if you just sweep once, you get the benefit of sweeping a million times, more or less, and you will gain some life and wipe out anything on the board that doesn't have flying. We also have 2 copies of Galvanic Blast. This is 4 damage anywhere, including to a creature. So this can take out most of the threats that exist in Pauper for 1 red mana. And then we have 2 copies of Snuff Out. If we have a swamp in play, which is pretty easy to make happen with 3 swamps, 4 Twisted Landscapes, and 4 Cleansing Wildfires to find it, you can cast this for 0 mana by just paying 4 life to destroy a creature, that's really handy against things like Glee combo, the Basking Brood-Scale combo, which I won't get into here if you don't know what it does. Other just random stuff that I haven't touched on yet is I think pretty much just the Pulse of Marasa, kind of a mini Blood Fountain. It gets back one creature. Sometimes I like to hold this up while Blood Fountain is on the board, but like tapped down below Blood Fountain, they're going to exile my graveyard thinking that they got me, but I say, haha, I still have enough mana to cast the Pulse of Marasa, get one thing back, heal 6 points of life gain, and the main deck is pretty handy against mono red aggro, along with some other burn decks. And that about covers the main deck. For the sideboard, you might notice that every single card is sort of tailored towards one of the top 3 decks in the metagame, which would be mono red aggro, Brood-Scale combo. I'm combining Brood-Scale combo. I'm combining Golgari and Jund Brood-Scale combo. They're both Brood-Scale. And Grixis Affinity. So Duress is good against Brood-Scale and Affinity. Gorilla Shaman is here for Affinity. Spellbomb for Affinity, and some decks further down in the meta, like, you know, Terror decks and Dredge. Weather the Storm is here again, is here for mono red. Troublemaker Oof is here primarily for Affinity, although there are some fringe situations you would bring it in against Glee. Cast Down and Snuff Out are here against Glee to remove their Brood-Scale and prevent their combo. And Breath Weapon is here against mono red aggro. But these cards also come in against other various matchups. Duress is handy against various different blue decks to strip counter spells out of their hand, so you can resolve something like a Writhing Chrysalis or a Nyxborn Hydra safely. Gorilla Shaman is nice against things like Rakdos Madness, Nihil Spellbomb. Like I said, good against Dredge. Various other graveyard-centered strategies in the metagame. Weather the Storm, nice against Rakdos Madness, any other sort of burn decks out there. Troublemaker Oof is handy against anything that really relies on enchantments as well as artifacts. This is nice against any sort of indestructible bridges because it will exile that bridge. So this is nice against, various different like Mardu Blade and Orzhov Blade, maybe Boros Synthesizer, things like that. Cast Down and Snuff Out. I can't go through all the various different decks where you would want removal, but there are a ton of them. And then Breath Weapon is handy against things like, mono white decks that play Glint Hawk, because you can't pick up the sweepers with the Krark-Clan Shaman. So in those matchups, I take out the Krarks, usually, and bring in the Breath Weapons because this can actually affect the board. But I think that about does it. Let's go through and just try to practice Pauper League. I don't know how it's going to go. This might, bolster or shake my confidence in this deck, so I might end up changing before Saturday. We'll see, but I'm excited to see how it goes. Remember, if you like this Pauper content and want to see more Pauper content just like this, a like or a comment on the video would be amazing, as would a subscription to the channel. We're getting pretty close to 1,000 thanks to all of your help, and I would love to reach that milestone with all of you. With all of that said, I'll see you in the games, and then we'll talk afterward. We'll see you there. All right, we are starting up our first match of the Pauper League. We are up against Bombage. Sort of an awkward start. I do have lands and the ability to cast my Cleansing Wildfire, but I don't think I can keep this. I don't have anything I want to target. I don't really have any acceleration, no Ichor Wellspring, so let's mulligan as well. They took a mulligan. And I am going second, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. This next hand is also not great, but in a different way. I am on the draw, so I have sort of 2 draws to find another land, but if I don't, I'm in big trouble, because I can't do anything except put down the Drossforge Bridge and Galvanic Blast some things, so I need to mulligan again. It's okay, this deck has the ability to recoup some card advantage, and this hand is looking better. I'm missing out on things to actually sacrifice to my dispute effects, but with that said, I think it's still a keep. I think I want to keep the lands, put back the Eviscerator's Insight and Snuff Out, because I'm not very close to casting those. If I don't have anything else to do, at least I'm naturally making land drops. It's weird, I find that I actually mulligan pretty heavily with this deck, even though it has 20 lands. And it might be that, there are hands where you have lands and spells, but they're just not workable. I don't think that happens as often in Affinity. I think in Affinity, it really is the Cleansing Wildfire. Because Cleansing Wildfire with just basics and no bridges is problematic. They play Azorius Chancery, which means we're up against familiars, so Cleansing Wildfire could be interesting on the Azorius Chancery if we do draw that. Unfortunately, we don't, so we're just going to play another tap land. We could play, hold up Deadly Dispute here by playing the Forest, but I don't want to sacrifice my Dross Forge Bridge. Now that they've put down the Azorius Chancery, they have a Godpharaoh's Faithful, which is not super relevant. And then they're going to have blue mana and generic. They're just going to sacrifice their Contaminated Landscape for an island and let that blue mana go away. Sure. So maybe we should expect like a turn 4 Muldrift or Ephemerate, something like that. We don't quite have the kill on that with the Galvanic Blast, unfortunately. And we can't really get there by Deadly Disputing because, you know, we're going 1 for 1 on artifacts. We sacrifice an artifact, get an artifact. So I think we just have to play out the forest and pass. Ultimately, these Deadly Disputes, I was thinking that these don't do much on their own, but there are a lot of hands that become workable because of having Deadly Dispute. They're leaving up white. Okay, so we should expect an Ephemerate. We are able to Galvanic Blast the Muldrifter to prevent that. There's the Ephemerate. Okay, at least we can shut that down. So we're not only cutting off that draw 2 and their 2/2, but also now they won't be able to Ephemerate it and do that again later. So that's something. Should I Deadly Dispute a bridge to draw deeper? I don't love it, but I think I will. I just really need to dig deeper into my deck. Okay, that did not have amazing effects, as we can see here. The best thing about this is that I can cast Writhing Chrysalis. Is that worth doing, or is it better to hold open Deadly Dispute on my treasure token? I think at this point, since I have a threat that I can put down, I just need to do that, rather than trying to, you know, accrue some sort of card advantage by inefficiently sacrificing my utility artifacts that I would rather do something else with. So this deck likes to have like 5 lands in play on turn 5. We have 3, so that's not great. They find their Sunscape Familiar, so now they can cast, you know, 1 mana Prohibit, 1 mana Snap, stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, they just lose that mana. Interesting. Okay. They just wanted to get the Chancery down. I would not be too surprised to see a Snap, but if I sacrifice the thing that they snap with like a Deadly Dispute, then they don't untap their lands, so that's handy. Here I would like to attack. I attack, they block with Godpharaoh's Faithful, I sacrifice 2 spawns, then they snap me. Meh, not amazing. Probably just get down another colored source here and pass it right back. I could Deadly Dispute my spawn, but then again, they can snap me. I don't have a way to prevent them from untapping their Azorius Chanceries and getting 4 mana back. There are various different kind of infinite damage loops with familiars. I have this deck built myself. I'm just not very good with it, so I don't really know how it works. Okay, so they're leaving open, they're evoking, which means they have another Ephemerate, huh? Or a snap. If they snap it, that's fine with me. They're going to snap targeting their Muldrifter. I think that's okay. So my read that they had the snap was correct. Then they can hardcast it. Let's take this opportunity to Deadly Dispute an Eldrazi spawn. They could prohibit it, you know. Not much I can do about that. We'll give it a try. Okay, we got a Blood Fountain, which is something. They're going to draw up to 8 cards in hand, sure. I could use my treasure to, like, cycle this Twisted Landscape. I don't think that's necessary. What I need to do is find some Refurbished Familiars. They're very good in this matchup. Stripping value out of them, getting some aggression going, attacking past their Godpharaoh's Faithfuls and such things like that. I don't think I want to cycle the Twisted Landscape. I'll just pass. It's a little too cute. Okay, again, I'm not doing anything. It's really unfortunate. I'm still susceptible to another copy of Snap, but now that they've played 1, I am less likely, I think, to play around that. I could start to go for one of these Nyxborn Hydras for sure, so maybe I want to leave this other spawn open. Which means I'm probably not attacking, I'm just blocking the Muldrifter. Let's try a Blood Fountain. Are they going to prohibit that? They won't. Okay. So I'll play a land here. And then I will probably loot away a... Now they're going to Ephemerate. Darn. Okay. So what could I find here? I could cycle Twisted Landscape by paying green, red, black, but then I only have green mana open. Or I could loot away with my blood right now. I think looting with my blood is the best chance to find the Snuff Out or the Galvanic Blast, and I don't get it, and I don't have the mana to... I could still play a Snuff Out. Is that worth doing? I think I'll try it. This is definitely a Hail Mary situation. Because they're going to draw 4 off of this Ephemerate. We'll cycle. Do we find the 2 of Snuff Out? We don't, unfortunately. Okay, so we're probably not winning this game. Are they also going to spend their blue to snap my Chrysalis at this point? No, they won't? Okay. So at this point, I think that they're just too comfortable. They have so much card advantage. They have their discounts online. They have 2 tap lands. They have plenty of life gain. Pretty much everything they could ever ask for, but we'll play it for another minute or so to see if it gets any better. Against this matchup, I do think that Snuff Out is pretty handy. They're going to cast Meeting of Minds with Convoke. Sure. So that's free because they're tapping their creatures. Pass through. Yep. I'm not going to just F6. I'm not just going to yield because I might have to sacrifice my Eldrazi spawn if they try to snap it or something like that. I'm just going to put this over here to look at it while they're playing. Yeah, so Snuff Out's pretty good. Breath Weapon doesn't do a lot. It takes out Archaeomancer and Muldrifter, I suppose. Nihil Spellbomb is good. Probably bring in Duress, Snuff Out, Cast Down? What's their target? Their own Seagate Oracle? Sure. Not much I can do. So we did get valuable information here. We know they're playing the Meeting of Minds build, so we know they won't have the 2/3 flyers. Not having 2/3 flyers makes Breath Weapon a bit better. It makes KCS a bit better. It means that Muldrifter is their only flyer, as well as Murmuring Mystic Birds, if they play Murmuring Mystic. I don't know if Meeting of Minds... I think Meeting of Minds probably implies Murmuring Mystic. Because this is a deck that's a little bit faster than the Modern Age builds, I think. Don't quote me on that. And faster builds of familiars tend to want Murmuring Mystic. So let's see if I get like one of a few very specific draws here. But yeah, I'll bring in the Duresses. I'll consider Breath Weapons. Probably Duress, Snuff Out, Cast Down. Okay. They're going to go to clean up and discard 3 cards. Island, Island, Beachfront. Sure. Another Chrysalis is not terrible. If I can sneak through with like a big Nyxborn Hydra later on by like sacking a bunch of spawns and bestow it on a Writhing Chrysalis, there's a chance I could do something, but they're at 35. So realistically, probably not going to happen. We'll cast Writhing Chrysalis. They currently can kick a Prohibit to counter it, although we still would get the spawns. Okay. I'll play a Slagwood's Bridge. Is it worth trying to resolve a Krark Clan Shaman? So I can remove everything but Muldrifter. I'll try it. I can't really do anything with the mana that these spawns generate, unfortunately. Okay, that resolves. How many artifacts? I mean, I have 4 artifacts I could sacrifice. I don't think this game is within my grasp. They're at too high of a life total. I'm just going to concede and go next, because this is going to get grindy. I'll need that 17 minutes to win 2 games. So we'll bring in the Snuff Out and the Cast Down, and then the 3 Duress, I think. And then we'll think about Breath Weapon. I think I like Krark against this deck. It's better when I'm not so on the back foot. Decks are cards that I don't like. Makeshift Munitions can kill them. Are they bringing out Godpharaoh's Faithful? They're probably bringing in some artifact hate. Maybe some blue elemental blasts. I think I want to fight them uncarded. I think I want to fight them. I want to push my mana advantage and keep the Cleansing Wildfires. I also want to bring the Spellbomb. Okay, there are a lot of potential things here. I think while Krark is good, Toxin might not be. Because I'm not tending to sweep for a ton of life. Unless I'm trying to kill specifically a Murmuring Mystic, but I have a Cast Down and an extra Snuff Out for that. Makeshift Munitions, I think, is good specifically against the bird tokens, but otherwise it's not amazing. Except it's just onboard removal that's uncounterable to interrupt an Ephemerate loop. But I have to get creative here with the cuts. I think I can live without Pulse of Marasa. Again, I don't really need the healing, although the value would be handy. Galvanic Blast I like because it kills everything except Murmuring Mystic, although it gets countered by Blue Blast. I mean, it probably is Hydro Blast because they play Murmuring Mystic most likely. What else do I take out? This is tough. They could have Thraben Charm. They could have up to like 2 Thraben Charms to hit my Nyxborn Hydra, but No more than 2. There's a card here that's extraneous. And you know what? I think it might be the KCS. I'll take 1 KCS out because really I can just, deal with 1 target at a time with my Galvanic Blast, cast downs, etc. Alright, fine. I'll bring out 2. I want to be on the aggressive. Let's go first. We have a 1-lander again. We do have a Duress, and a Galvanic Blast, and a Nihil Spellbomb. Is it worth the risk? Right now, Snuff Out is dead, and I can't cast Eviscerator's Insight or Cleansing Wildfire until I find a land. I have 19 lands. Basically, with each draw, it's more or less a 1 in 3, and I only have 1 draw to find it. I don't think I would take like a 35-40% chance of success here. I will mulligan. Unfortunate. Again, a 1-lander. I'm not sure how this keeps happening. I'm going to be real with you. I'll mulligan a second time. Alright, again, we are keeping the 5-card hand. We have the Wildfire, which is nice, especially because we're going first. We have the Wellspring, which we'll want for additional value. Writhing Chrysalis will probably be castable without jumping through too many hoops because of the 2 lands in the Wildfire. I think I'm going to take out the Disruption. Is that true? Or do I take out the Chrysalis? Now, I like the Snuff Out and I like the Duress, but I think I just need to get my own game plan going. I'll play Drossforge and pass. They'll play an island. They can cycle for another one, something like that. They could also play Blue Elemental Blast. So I'm going to take this opportunity to just play an Ichor Wellspring. They're less likely to have a null. Okay, they cycle for Lorien Revealed, sure. They did that very quickly, which means they might not actually have the Blue Elemental Blast. They're going to Preordain, and they Lorien Revealed got an idyllic beachfront. So if they want to reveal minimal information to me, they'll play that. Yep. So now I can safely use Cleansing Wildfire. We are off curve, unfortunately, but the Blood Fountain will actually help with that. Cleansing Wildfire will target the Drossforge Bridge. We don't have any green sources yet, so we'll take a Forest. You basically want to get 2 green sources online and then just start getting swamps. Cast Blood Fountain, pass. We have Deadly Dispute for the Wellspring. We can get plenty of card advantage here. They have a Sunscape Familiar and an Azorius Chancery. So they pick up an island, which they have in hand. I should be able to safely snuff that out. They could foil my Snuff Out if I find one. Alright. I probably want to take this out just to slow them down. Let's refill our hand with Deadly Dispute. Try to hit another land drop instead of just playing the Writhing Chrysalis here. I don't think there's a problem with how we tapped. I don't think we need green mana right now. Get a Duress and a Cast Down. It's fine. We have enough artifacts to play... Okay, the problem with how we tapped is we only have double black if we spend the treasure. Alright. We're going to cast this down. I'm pretty confident of that. And then we are going to play this land, but I want to keep hitting land drops, so I probably won't sack it. And then let's just put a refurb on the board. That could have been a reasonable opportunity to Duress, but I think it's okay. I would rather use that to force something through. They have an island and a beachfront, sure. They're going to go Godfarer's Faithful, leave up in almost anything with a single island. Should I loot something away? I don't think so. I think I'll be pretty happy to play this Writhing Chrysalis. Let's cast Duress. So here I want to take Lorien Revealed. They're going to play Meeting of Minds, sure. Snuff Out, Lorien, Ghostly Flicker. Probably just Lorien. They have Ghostly Flicker, Snuff Out, Plain Swamp. Alright. Then we can... I think it's pretty likely, actually, that we will want to loot away the Nyxborn Hydra. But we can wait. Alright, let's get in for an attack. Damage is happening. They don't have anything to flicker right now. They can snuff out my Writhing Chrysalis, not a huge problem. That's Swamp. So they have one unknown. Let's loot. Now we're not leaving up open colored mana, so we don't have Deadly Dispute. They're going to reply with Snuff Out on the Chrysalis, which is totally fine. We just get a land. Okay. I can Blood Fountain back the Chrysalis and the Nyxborn Hydra now, but let's just start first, I think. So that will We'll be 1 mana off playing the Nyxborn, or 1 mana off playing the Writhing Chrysalis. We actually won't because we have the Eldrazi spawns. That's interesting. They can't prohibit the Writhing Chrysalis either. So that's what we'll do. Get these. Tap, 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 tap. And then they still have the Ghostly Flicker Plains. Oh, they cast the Snuff Out, so they have Ghostly Flicker Plains something. Tap here, tap here, tap here. Make mana. Writhing Chrysalis. And do we Wellspring right now? Sure. I think that's fine. Wellspring. It resolves. Get a Lembas. That's okay. We'll attack. So we only have 1 colorless mana open. Nothing we can do with that. We'll go down to 18. My turn. They're going to cycle Ash Baron, so that was their unknown. They're probably going to get another island. Yep. So I know 3 of their 4 cards in hand. They played an island. Okay. So 1 unknown. All right. I don't think I want a Nyxborn Hydra. I would rather back that up with a Duress. We'll tap a... We're not going to Nyxborn Hydra, so I'll tap Forest. We'll cast Lembas. That resolves. Cleansing Wildfire is good. Put on top. Do I target their land? If I target their land, Snap is worse. But I think it's better to ramp myself? Question mark? I don't really want to draw more lands. Yes, let's use the ability. Get a Swamp. Draw a Deadly Dispute. Play a Slagwood's Bridge. Attack for 6. We have 4 mana represented right now. Some of which we can use for the Deadly Dispute. We'll pass. They're going to evoke a Muldrifter. Sure. Let's go ahead and draw right now before they can counter. Deadly Dispute the Wellspring. Okay, we'll try to Snuff It Out, which cannot be prohibited unless they kick. I should have actually tried to Snuff It Out in response to the draw trigger. They're going to snap on the Muldrifter. We know they have a Ghostly Flicker, right? Because of that, did they play a Plains? They did not play a Plains. Because we know they have a Ghostly Flicker, I'll let this through. They play the Plains, okay. Godfair is Faithful, sure. Evoke a Muldrifter, sure. So we have to make them use the Ghostly Flicker. Okay. Cast. They're pretty likely to have an answer at this point. They don't, okay. I think they just flickered the island, sure. They gained a lot of life, though. Preordain, game 2, yep. They're not super likely to have an answer in the Nyxborn Hydra. Playing Counterspell is not super common. This Ghostly Flicker is gone. I don't know anything in their hand. They could have a Snap, would be the answer to keep them alive. So I could Krark Clan Shaman first, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 things. I can have more if I play Deadly, if I play Blood Fountain. Let's Blood Fountain so I don't have to sacrifice lands. They're going to let that resolve. I don't have any creatures in the yard right now. I will. We'll play a Krark Clan Shaman. They're going to Meeting of Minds. Sure. Going up to 4. Alright, that happens. So let's sweep the... Let's sacrifice Eldrazi Spawn. I want to take this off the board so they can't snap. And then holding control, we're going to sacrifice Blood Token, Treasure Token. Let's tap this for green, sacrifice this, and sacrifice Lembas. Okay, let's see what they do. We're running out of time. We only have 7.5 minutes remaining. They have Snuff Out on the Chrysalis, sure. Okay, and then we are going to tap everything and bestow. For +7, we're going to attack them down to 11. This is immune to Snuff Out, although we've seen like a few of those already. We can get back our Krark Clan Shaman and our Writhing Chrysalis. They're going to Azorius Chancery, picking up the Plains. Sure. Let's go ahead and attack. They can snap this if they want to. We're going to go down to 2. Okay. We'll Blood Fountain. Back our only 2 creatures. We'll cast the Writhing Chrysalis. We'll cast the Krark Clan Shaman. Play a land and pass. We only have 6 minutes left. That's probably going to be a problem. We're going to play Contaminated Aquifer. So they can snuff out something and cast... Okay. Let's explain less and play more. Let's just attack. I don't have anything relevant in the graveyard. Snuff out there, sure. And snap there, sure. So they take 1. Alright, let's go ahead and play the refurb, and then maybe sandbag the swamp. I don't think there's time. Let's just pass. They're at 1. And they scoop. Okay, we have 5.5 minutes. We have to win quickly. They're going to be on the play. So how do we win more actively in this matchup? We have to resolve a lot of refurbs. I think I'm going to take out if I'm trying to be aggressive, what do I change here? I often take out Cleansing Wildfires in those situations, but I don't think I have anything that I want to play instead. Maybe Breath Weapons. But Cleansing Wildfires are actually more active. It's a very proactive card. Overall, I feel happy with the list. I might take out Spell Bomb for KCS, because maybe once they start graveyard looping, it's like too late, but I think this is okay. And having more artifacts in the deck is not a bad thing. An interesting thing for me with playing fast or slow, things like that, is, this is a keep, is I'll become faster as a player, but each time I pick up a new deck or I try to explain a deck for the first time, I'm slow again. So my journey to become a faster player is not as linear as I hoped it would be. In any case, they played an island, which they're going to go ahead and use to cycle an Ash Barrens and pick up a Plains. Okay. They'll play the Plains and play a Refurbished Familiar. That's okay. Nothing better to do, so we'll go ahead and just ramp with the Cleansing Wildfire, picking up a Forest. Yes, we'll use the ability. Take a Forest. We get another Cleansing Wildfire, and we'll pass. Next turn, we could potentially try to Wildfire, and if that gets countered, we can Blood Fountain. They have double discounts happening right now, so they can evoke a Muldrifter, but that's just going to be a draw too. That's okay. Alright, so they're tapped out. So let's go ahead and Wildfire again, I think. At this point, since I have the Slagwoods Bridge in hand, I don't feel like I have to get this Forest, so I'm just going to get a Swamp. I did get a Galvanic Blast. I could not have tapped that differently, though, because I only had one red source. So let's go ahead and just play the Blood Fountain and the Slagwoods Bridge and pass the turn. We have Galvanic Blast to pick one off, but the second familiar is less important than the first generally, unless they're doing some loopy things. They're going to hardcast a Muldrifter and not hit a land drop and pass. Okay. So that means I can take this off the board. I can also dig deeper for something better. Let's go ahead and play an Ichor Wellspring. And we'll play this land. We'll Deadly Dispute the Wellspring. I'm trying to see if I can find like a Krark Clan Shaman. I found a Snuff Out, which is good. There's the Krark Clan Shaman. So is it worth playing that? I think so. And I think I will sacrifice a land for the privilege. Let's make sure to Galvanic Blast first. Okay. I could also sacrifice the Blood Fountain. That might be right. But I'll sacrifice a land. No, I'll do the Blood Fountain. Alright. My turn? Or your turn, I mean. This is like a pretty good start. I took their cost reducers off the board. They have to rebuild, but I don't have any aggression going on, which is unfortunate. They're going to Preordain. They're going to play Idyllic Beachfront as their tap line. They also have a lot of cards left in hand. I don't think I can win in enough time. Alright, so let's go Wellspring. I'm not paying a lot of heed to specifically what I'm tapping for what. I'm just trying to cast spells here to accumulate threats. I haven't found them, so I'm just going to play a... Let's get this out of the hand. And 1, 2... I already played a land. I'll pass, unfortunately. What I'm hoping to find is like refurb. I don't want to just go all in on like Nyxborn Hydra, because that's just, just gets countered. I haven't seen them play Counterspell though, so maybe it's not right to be afraid of that. You're going to pay 4 for a Murmuring Mystic, sure. That's going to get Snuff Outed. Okay, and then let's just cycle this. Alright, need to pick up more things. I can't find a refurb to save my life. We'll just play a Spell Bomb, and then we will play an Insight. There is a Chrysalis and a Snuff Out. Too many cards in my hand, man. I can play this. I can play Chrysalis. I tapped wrong, unfortunately. Okay, now I have to individually tap these things. Nope. Chrysalis. Alright. Jeez. Let's Snuff Out, just to prevent life gain. And then we will put down the Spell Bomb and pass. We won't have enough combat steps in this amount of time. For touching the mic, they're going to cast a Mole Drifter, sure. Draw 2. Probably find a land, yep. Okay, another Chrysalis is probably the thing to do, so let's just do it. That's our green. That's our... Oh, that's... it's not worth the time, but that's our red. And then here, here. There. I feel like we were pretty close to fast enough. It's not really worth it to do this, but I will. Pass. I don't have time. Alright. It's a warm-up game, you know what I mean? And it's against familiars. There are a lot of decisions. Do I feel great about what happened here? Of course not, but we will just wish the opponent GG's. No chance at this point. In the rest of the Pauper League. Alright, 0-1 to start. We're getting our bearings with the deck. We'll see how we do in round 2. I'll see y'all in just a second. Alright, we have found our second match of the Pauper League. It looks like we won the dice roll this time against C Coop Play 21. Let's see how we do if we get any better mulligans. This is looking pretty good. I have a bunch of value artifacts. I'm going to keep this before thinking too hard about it. And the opponent is also going to start with 7. We have 4 lands, which is a bit heavy, but we don't really mind in this deck. I'm going to start off with blind draws by just leading off with a Dross Forge Bridge, and I'll pass the turn. The opponent plays a Sunlit Marsh, which taps for black or white, so it looks like we are looking at probably Orzhov Blade playing Snuff Out, if I had to guess. Okay, the Writhing Chrysalis is interesting. Let's get the green source on board and just play an Ichor Wellspring. We can pass through the opponent's turn. They'll play a Swamp, tap the Swamp for not a refurbished familiar. Kumbaj Witches. Okay, so mono black control playing Ephemerate, maybe? Interesting. Okay, we got a Blood Fountain, which means we have something else to do with our mana here. So we'll start off with just... I guess we'll go Vault. Get another artifact in play. We'll play an Ichor Wellspring. And then just play the Blood Fountain. We have a very high artifact count. Mirror Enforcer costs only 1 mana if we somehow find it in our non-Mirror Enforcer deck. Next turn, we can go with a Writhing Chrysalis. Chittering Rats. Okay, I don't mind that too much. It looks like we are up against mono black control. It doesn't really matter what we put back because we're going to draw it. The opponent will pass, which is completely fine. And we'll draw the land that we put back. We can just play that instantly, that's okay. We'll play Writhing Chrysalis here. And in case they're playing Tithing Blade, we probably should not just sack these spawns. Ah, that's very smart of them. Okay. Okay, okay. Which one are they targeting? Okay, we'll just sacrifice it for mana. Oh, I misunderstood what was happening there. I was saying where my damage was getting sent. So I missed 1 damage to their face. Okay, that's fine. That's been sacrificed for mana. And at this point, since we can't vary if... Well, we can still play around Tithing Blade with the Eldrazi spawn, but not because they can just tap the Kumbaj Witches. So at this point, let's just go ahead and get down another Ichor Wellspring or Lembas. I think at this point I do want to groom my draws a little bit. We'll put Refurbished Familiar into our hand. That's completely fine, and we will pass. So I missed 1 damage face. I didn't know what was happening. We can block either of their creatures. They can't Gary quite yet. It's possible they could be doing other things with their white mana. They could be using that for Thraben Charm or something like that. We're going to sacrifice a Writhing Chrysalis, unfortunately. They're playing Chainer's Edict, so they're expecting to get high amounts of mana. This is a bit of a greedy card for sure. On our next turn, we can Wellspring and Refurbish Familiar. We have plenty of stuff to do. We'll play a swamp and cycle a troll. Let's see if they get a witch's cottage. That's what I'm expecting. They just get a swamp. Okay, maybe no witch's cottage in the deck. Or maybe it's just not the time for them. They're going to swing 2, which is okay. So I find that these, high-value artifact decks actually have a pretty good time against mono black. Their best chance is if they can resolve the Monarch, which can happen, We'll start with a... We're probably not going to cycle this. We're probably just going to hit our land drops. So we'll start with this. And we can tap our... We won't need green with this amount of mana. So we'll just play Ichor Wellspring. We're looking for Deadly Dispute, something like that. Find a Toxin Analysis. We could refurbish Familiar, but we can't really protect it from the Kumbaj Witches, which is an awkward thing that I hadn't considered up until now. So I think in that case, I will just play a Makeshift Munitions. This will mean that if they Kumbaj Witches and ping me, I can throw an Ichor Wellspring. I can throw that damage at Chittering Rats, and then ping the Chittering Rats with an Ichor Wellspring. Or sorry, throw the Kumbaj Witches damage at the Chittering Rats, and then throw a Wellspring at the Chittering Rats with the Makeshift Munitions. We'll pass. They're going to Ephemerate. Unfortunately, Ephemerate will happen. Yep. Okay, so they've already cast the Ephemerate. Sure. I'll target this. And then I will throw a Wellspring at the Chittering Rats. I think using their Kumbaj Witches there was not really the right move. I have to put a card back on top. It doesn't really matter what. I'll just put a Galvanic Blast, I suppose. They can rebound on their Kumbaj Witches if they want that in their graveyard. I think that they won't care. Yep. They have 4 cards in hand. They've cycled their trolls. They can't play their troll. They can sign in blood, sure. Go up to 5 cards in hand. So right now they're winning on card advantage, but I have a lot of artifacts on the table that can start to do things. I can Galvanic Blast that Kumbaj Witches, which will mean that I can resolve my Refurbished Familiar without worrying about it getting just pinged off for no cost. That's a really cool sign in blood, by the way. Textless. I didn't know that existed. They're going to pay 1 to cycle another troll. Do they have the Witch's Cottage here? They do. They're going to probably play that and put troll back on top. Or did they already play a land? I guess they did. Alright, so Witch's Cottage is in hand. I'm sure they played the swamp. My turn. So I think I want to Galvanic Blast that off the rip, so I can just Refurbish Familiar. They could have Deadly Dispute. It's possible, although I'm not really seeing artifact lands. So I would not be surprised if this deck was not running that, especially since they're already playing Sign in Blood. They might consider whether to ping me. That's okay. I get pinged. If I get them down to 1 damage, then it's my mistake. I'll tap the artifact land just in case. Play Refurbished Familiar. Let's see what they discard. They could discard whatever and put it back on top with Witch's Cottage if they want to. We'll discard a swamp, sure. So that's not coming back. You know what? Maybe I should take the opportunity to throw a Makeshift Munitions or another Ichor Wellspring at them. But I could always do that in response to something. But if I get a Cleansing Wildfire, or not a Cleansing Wildfire, because I don't have red up. If I get an Ichor Wellspring or a Lembas, which is unlikely because I only have 1 more of each, or a Refurbished Familiar, which I have 3 of, then that would be good. Sure. I'll do that. Okay, there's a Nyxborn Hydra. Got it. I will pass. I expect to maybe see a troll here. Witch's Cottage putting what on top? Yep, troll on top, sure. And then they can cast 1? Do they have 1? No, there's no way that I would know that they have a troll, right? It will be good for me to find an opportunity to... They just cast a Toxin Analysis, or a Chainer's Edict. I will Makeshift Munitions them, sacking the Refurbished Familiar. Let's see if they have a... No, they already played the Witch's Cottage, so it's a good time, actually, for me to get back my creatures. Yes. This... They don't have anymore. Okay, so crack the Blood Fountain, and then I can play a Refurb. Sounds good to me. They could have Thraben Charm here. They are in white. I don't know what that means other than Ephemerate. Usually I think it's just Ephemerate. We'll Refurb something away. Probably not the Troll. They probably want to keep that as their last threat. They could also start to, just Chainers for 7, I suppose. But here I'm completely tapped out, so they could take away my Refurb if they really want to. They're just going to cast a troll, it looks like. Yep. We'll cast a troll. 1 card in hand, don't know what it is. I'm not that afraid of my life total because of toxin analysis. So what I could do is I could block with spawn refurb and then give this death touch, which seems reasonable. I got my other one as well, so oops, I tapped wrong. I need to leave that open. Chrysalis. So I think what that means here is I will not attack with the refurb for 1 damage. I might be winning the race here. This might be incorrect, but I just want to make sure they don't have like a weird Crypt Rats kill on me. We're going to cast down the Chrysalis, which is okay. I will not spend mana to throw it at the opponent. I'm going to pay 2 to Sign and Blood themselves. Okay. Pay black and white to use Dusk Legion Zealot. That's okay. Alright. So let's see how we can make this happen. I think I can also take out the Makeshift Munitions, or take out the Dusk Legion Zealot potentially. We'll go to blocks. We'll go block, block, block. We'll declare those as our blockers. We'll Toxin Analysis here. And then we will sacrifice this, and then use that mana to throw this one at the Zealot. Okay, they lose their troll. So I still have a Nyxborn Hydra. They have an upkeep stop. Maybe they're doing that for ephemerate things? Not sure. Eviscerator's Insight is very good. I want to keep hitting lands. Let's Eviscerator's Insight our Wellspring. Got some more options. I don't really want to just play a big Hydra necessarily. Refurb is good, and Cleansing Wildfire is good. I like all this stuff. I think it's okay to tap out, to be honest with you. Wildfire my Drossforge. Yes, use the ability. Let's find more red mana? Green mana, I suppose. Okay, we can play a Drossforge Bridge, play a Refurb. They'll discard their last card. My turn. So they can Chainer's Edict and kill my Refurb, which is okay. Yep, I lose it. I still have Pulse of Marasa and another Blood Fountain to get back some creatures, and I have the Nyxborn Hydra and Burn from Makeshift Munitions and such. They have yet another Chainer's Edict in the graveyard, so I don't want to just play a big Nyxborn Hydra. So let's start with a Wellspring. Can tap here. Get a Deadly Dispute. That's our last Wellspring, I think. Okay, how many basics do I still have? I have more basics in the deck. We'll pull those out. Wildfire the Drossforge Bridge. Yes, use the ability. Take a Swamp. You get a Krark Clan Shaman. That's fine, I guess. And then we will pass the turn. So the reason to use the Twisted Landscape there would be that I would leave up Deadly Dispute or Clue without using the treasure. We're going to Chittering Rats. Sure. I'll put the Deadly... No. The Nyxborn Hydra on top. Okay. So I could put down a Krark Clan Shaman and then just hope that they're, not worried about that. How much damage do I actually have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. I have 8 sacrificable permanents. I just want to get more mana on board, I think. Deadly Dispute is neutral. We'll tap. We'll sacrifice the Lembas in case deck out matters. Okay, get a Nihil Spellbomb. That's interesting. I could Spellbomb, take out the Chainer's Edict. Or I could just wait. Let's go with a... we can go Spellbomb. I'm still not playing Nyxborn Hydra this turn, I think. Yes, we'll use black mana. Again, I find myself going slow. This deck is very procedural, you know what I mean? Lembas. Galvanic Blast is good for burn. Play this. Play a Krark Clan Shaman. Pass. 2 cards in their hand. Chainer's Edict is gone. I'm not worried if they want to, ephemerate loop me with Chittering Rats at this point. I think it's not a problem. I'm doing it this way so I can get them with some haste damage with the Hydra. Potentially. Take 2, that's okay. So if they're attacking, that means they might have ephemerate things, which is fine. Anything I want to do during the end step? No, I'm going to keep all of my stuff in case I just need that many artifacts, to the Makeshift Munitions. I'm going to completely tap out because I have 2 treasures. Bestow here. Takes a while to click through this. And they could, you know, stop all of this damage with some sort of removal, but then I'll still have a 9-10. Maybe they're calculating. Also, bestowing, creating a big Krark Clan Shaman is actually interesting as well, because it means that you can keep using it over and over and it won't kill itself. They're going to just Doomblade the Krark Clan Shaman? That's okay. Your turn. Interesting that they're playing Doomblade and not Cast Down. I wonder if they know about Cast Down. Are they playing Cast Down too? It's not important. They're not. Interesting. I've seen a lot of Pauper players play Doomblade for some reason. Attack. Take it out with... they'll lower it with a Defile. That's okay. Alright, in that case, I will just protect it by Galvanic Blasting their Chittering Rats before it blocks. Yep. I almost don't even want to do the math. I think it'll take too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I have enough permanents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, I can do this. It'll take forever, but I can do it. Alright, Makeshift Munitions them. Sacrifice, pay mana. Alright, and we got there. We finally finished it. Took like 2 minutes to click through. If you know a faster way to do Makeshift Munitions, let me know. Anyway, against Mono Black control, I think Duress is pretty handy. They seem to have a lot of, you know, removal spells. They have Doomblades, they have Defiles, they have... You know, hitting a Chainer's Edict is not amazing. Really, there's nothing that we have to bring in here. And a Heal Spellbomb is an okay side in. I like to bring this in, just because it's another artifact, so it supports that. I'll take out the Snuff Outs here. Do I want Duresses is the question. I think at the end of the day, maybe no. Oh, I have an empty slot. Okay, I'll bring in a 1 Duress. I'll just bring in the 1, you know? I think that I can just execute my own game plan against Mono Black control, and they're going to have a hard time. There are certain things that can, you know, be a difference maker, like if they resolve the Monarch or something like that, but all of my cards actually do things against them, now that I've taken out the Snuff Outs. I want to keep the threats. The Krark Clan Shamans could come up and interrupt Ephemerate loops, things like that, so... I say loops, but I don't think they have ways to get Ephemerate back from the graveyard. Unless they play Omen of the Dead wouldn't do it. Let me know if there's something. And if it looks like things are going really bad at about the 9-minute mark, I'll probably just scoop so I can try to finish this match in time. They're going to play first. I have 3 lands. Not really the lands I like, but it's probably fine. We can put down a Spellbomb. We can put down a Blood Fountain. With 1 more land, we can put down a Chrysalis. They're unlikely to have like land destruction, right? They could have the... one that turns my land into a swamp, I suppose. Okay. Alright, I will just lead off with a swamp and a Blood Fountain. Next turn I can play Acre Wellspring. I'll pass through both of our turns. They'll just Bojuka Bog to play the tap land, sure. Alright, I then can just play a Mountain and a Wellspring. I want to get a green source, so I'll probably play that Slagwoods Bridge next turn, since I can also hold up Deadly Dispute. And once I get the green source, I can resolve the Chrysalis. Let's see if they have the Sign in Blood. That's fine. They mulligan down to 6, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I think it was 6. I'm not going to double check. Alright, we have the Slagwoods now, and then next turn we can just Twisted Landscape. So we'll just play this. Play into Deadly Dispute on their turn. Writhing Chrysalis with a tap land. Or with a Twisted Landscape. My turn, they're going to Sign in Blood themselves again, sure. It's their 4th turn, they do hit another land drop. They don't have anything they want to play. We might overdraw from the Deadly Dispute, but not a huge issue. Is overdraw just Hearthstone? Just a Hearthstone thing? I'm not sure. Alright, I will go with a Twisted Landscape and a Writhing Chrysalis. They have 3 swamps in play right now. So the 4th one will not be big enough to defile my Writhing Chrysalis necessarily. So the cast trigger happened. Sure. We can pass. If they kill our Chrysalis, it's not a huge deal. We can get it back with Pulse of Marasa by sacking the spawns. Although I'm not sure if I would spend both spawns and the treasure to do that. They play a swamp, by the way. They Doomblade the Chrysalis. Yeah, nothing I can do about that. Sure. Do I Pulse of Marasa here? I think I just want to keep the beatings going here. And putting down a Chrysalis on my turn is pretty good. Yeah, they shouldn't have an instant speed graveyard hit there. Okay, another Chrysalis is pretty interesting. I can leave open the Swamp. Probably just leave open Galvanic Blast here, huh? In case of Ephemerate things? Sure. And just keep playing these things. Alright, pass. I'm not going to jump at using these spawns. These spawns are making their Chainer's Edicts bad, stuff like that. Spending 3 white. I think they might have mistapped. No, unmake. Exile target creature is annoying, but that happens. I'm still Metalcraft with the Galvanic Blast. I have exactly 3 artifacts. Is it worth just throwing it? I don't think so. Okay, let's go again. Keep playing these things. Let's do it with a Drossforge Bridge. So this can be as high as 6/7. So the game is going very well. I don't feel like I need to scoop here. I also don't feel like I have to play the Spell Bomb. I don't have the Blood Fountain online, but there wouldn't be a reason I need to. They're going to unmake again. They are. That's unfortunate. I could Galvanic Blast to put it into my graveyard, but I think that's too cute. So I'll say okay. You don't technically need Chrysalis to win. They're going to cast a Duress. I don't really need any of this stuff. I guess I'll just burn them for 4. And then they can look at my hand. It was unfortunate that I didn't have any Disputes or Eviscerator's Insights when they were unmaking my Chrysalis, but Dems to breaks. If I had them in hand, I would have tapped differently. They take my Blood Fountain. Not a huge deal. It's another one. Oh my goodness, how many unmakes do they play, I wonder? I mean, I'll challenge them to keep exiling, I guess. This is Chrysalis number 3, and actually the 4th time I've cast one. Alright, I can just put down a Spell Bomb and pass. So I have a Krark Clan Shaman in hand that they know about. Cast down is okay. Sure. Alright, so they've just been removing every single one of my things. It's not really a problem. I'm going to go ahead and loot away this Krark Clan Shaman during the end step. Get something else. An Ichor Wellspring is very welcome. Nice. So now I can Blood Fountain back the Krark Clan Shaman and Writhing Chrysalis if I want to, but let's go ahead and I'm going to do that thing where I never actually crack these landscapes because I just want more lands. I'm just going to Ichor Wellspring first. Maybe I should question what I was just talking about, though. We will have to crack a couple spawns to put the Chrysalis down, but I think that's fine. And then I can also leave open black. Oh wait, hold on. I was tapping wrong. I want to leave those. Here, 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 here. And then I can go green, red, sack, sack, Chrysalis, and pass. So far they've had 4 hard removal spells. They didn't have one at instant speed there. They might have a Chainer's Edict, which is completely fine. 3 mana. Did they just top deck an unmake? Or is this a Chittering Rats maybe? That would be okay. It would mean that I could start attacking. They're going to cast a Gurmag Angler. Okay. Okay. So kind of punishing me for not using the heal spell bomb there. It's not the worst though. Another Krark Clan Shaman is not really where I want to be. I think I'll attack with the Chrysalis. I'm not worried about them clocking me here. In terms of damage, I'm kind of worried about them clocking me in terms of chest clock. Alright, they are going to block. I'll go Sacrifice. Let that grow. Sacrifice. They could defile me here for sure. That's something I should have been more concerned about. That could make this Gurmag Angler win the combat. Alright. Let's Spell Bomb and see if we have anything to do with that mana before we pass into the next step. We don't, unfortunately. Okay. Do we win this combat? Unfortunately, they do have the Defile. Okay, they got me. Cleansing Wildfire, though, is good to see. I have a whole half of my deck that I would be very happy about getting at any point. Tap here, I guess. No, I should just have the basics. It's fine. We'll take a Swamp. We'll take a Duress. At this point, I am like running low on stuff, man. I'm surprised that my engine just has not started. I guess it's just been threat, threat, threat. That's it. Take out the... Oh, they had the Ephemerates too. Take out an Ephemerate, sure. I could have put down a Krark Clan Shaman. I probably should have. That's fine. Sign in Blood themselves, sure. I think I can take this hit from the Gurmag. Dusk Legion Zealot, sure. Now, if I'm going to Krark at some point, I should just block. No reason not to. Duress, okay. I have 2 Krark Clan Shamans. They still have the Ephemerate and the Witch's Cottage in hand. I'll block. And I'm not going to bother sacrificing. I don't need the mana for anything. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I think I'll just play the Drossforge Bridge and pass. I'm not in a rush to play these Krark Clan Shamans until I'm ready to actually bite with them. They play a Swamp. That's fine. The Dusk Legion Zealot is okay. They're taking damage, you know. I've spent 1 Galvanic Blast. This time I'll take that. Refurbished Familiar is interesting for sure. Which do I do first? Let's refurb first. Get some information. Do they discard Witch's Cottage, Ephemerate, or the Unknown? They discard the Unknowns. They have Witch's Cottage and Ephemerate, sure. Let's go with a Krark Clan Shaman, and we'll pass the turn. So with Krark Clan Shaman, we have 5 artifacts. So we have 6 artifacts we can sacrifice. 3 mana. Chittering Rats. Yes. So now they can Ephemerate their Gurmag Angler. So that can take 4, and then they can Ephemerate it. Okay, let's go to blocks. I think this is okay. Sure. And then we will Wellspring. Sack the Wellspring, see what they do. Because, yeah, I'll draw for the Wellspring. I'll draw my Krark Clan Shaman. Oh, but now they can Ephemerate the Chittering Rats, huh? That's very interesting, because I just drew that card. I didn't think about that. Okay, so that's fine. We have a lot of good draws here. You're going to Ephemerate the Chittering Rats now. That's right, so we don't have good draws, because we don't have cards. Of course. Okay. We'll go to attackers. I'm getting rat-locked here. Ephemerate's gone. Just have Witch's Cottage. They take 2. We play Krark. So they can Ephemerate in our draw step, potentially. Okay, sure. So they shouldn't do that, because they just want to be able to attack with this, right? That might be all of their Ephemerates. It's only 2. I don't know how many they have. Swing 5, sure. I'll take 5. They're still losing first to Chittering Rats. I sack this to the Chainer's Edict. Okay, nice. Let's attack for 2. See if they kill it. They decide not to kill it. Let's sacrifice, I think, a land. With 2 minutes, I gotta be quick here. Just 2 lands. So unfortunately, this Chittering Rats can now put this back on the top of my deck. Or any Chittering Rats that they play. There's another Chittering Rats. Yep. So they have Witch's Cottage and 1 Unknown. So here I think I Krark Clan Shaman. For 2. So they can let 1 resolve and then Ephemerate one of them. Okay, they lose them. Nice. So now I'm currently winning this race, depending on if they find removal. I have to get all the cards out of my hand, that's for sure. Although I suppose I should attack first just to bluff something else. I don't have anything to stop the Chainer's Edicts anymore. I could draw Makeshift Munitions, Galvanic Blast, stuff. I take 5. What they could do is they could maybe force a tie? Not quite. Not yet. So they should take that out before my draw step, if they can. Doomblade won't work, though. Them having Doomblade instead of Cast Down might actually be really important here. They could unmake it, or they could defile it. 2 mana. All right, they scoop. Oh my gosh, I wonder if that was them showing that they had the... Okay, we just got there. That was, again, way too slow. I'm going to try to speed it up for round 3 and hope to get the 2-1, and then better from there. I'll see you in the next game. All right, we've found our round 3 opponent. It looks like we lost the die roll. Let's see how we do this time. We're up against Otakon. I think I'm going to mulligan this. This looks fine, I'll keep it. I think Toxin is the putback. we'll say done. Let's see what we're up against. In some matchups, just going Wildfire is too slow. We'll see. Hopefully we don't get Spell Pierced. They play a Contaminated Aquifer, which indicates that they are some sort of Dimir deck. Most likely it's Dimir Control or Dimir Terror. Dimir decks are less common than mono blue decks to play Spell Pierce. So that means I'm not super afraid to Wildfire on 2 here. If they counterspell me, they counterspell me. If I'm not doing that, I'm just playing Twisted Landscape and sacrificing. So I think it's okay to try the Cleansing Wildfire. They're going to hard counterspell that. That's okay. Puts 1 card in their graveyard for their terror. So these decks tend to run like 4 terrors and then like 2 to 3 Gurmag, maybe Murmuring Mystic, maybe the Monarch. If it's Dimir Control, which Preordain might suggest. I'm not sure if Dimir Terror plays Preordain or not. Maybe they play Ponder, I don't know. I know Dimir Control plays Preordain. If that's the case, then they do play the Monarch. Okay. So there's no way for me to play 2 spells this turn unless I draw into something. So, and playing the Twisted Landscape does not get around Spell Pierce, so I'll just try to Cleansing Wildfire again. See if they have another counterspell. They don't. Nice. I can pull out a black source, which I desperately need. And I can just go with a Drossforge Bridge and pass the turn. This turn, let's see if they Brainstorm Lorien Revealed. They are going to Brainstorm, and then sometimes these decks will play Thought Scour or Mental Note to sort of turbo out their terrors. Sometimes they won't. I think that all Dimir Terror decks are in Sneaky Snacker at this point, as well as Dimir Control, so this is going to be a Sneaky Snacker deck. Alright, they don't Lorien. They're going to play an Augur, sure, so they get a guaranteed pickup. That's why they don't Lorien, makes sense. They're going to select a Brainstorm, sure. Let's see if they have their 4th land drop. Unfortunately, they miss it, despite the Brainstorm. So that's not good for them. I want to try to find some threats if I can. Right now, I don't have a great way to do that. Let's just start with an Ichor Wellspring. And then I'm going to consider a Sorcery Speed Deadly Dispute here, while they are tapped low, if I'm assuming that they're not actually playing Spell Pierce. Deadly Dispute would draw me 3 cards, so I would go up to 8 cards in hand, and I could just play a land. That would be fine. They could play a Dispel, potentially. They do have a Dispel. Okay, not the biggest problem. I can just play a Drossforge Bridge and pass the turn. They now have 4 in the yard, so they could play a Terror for 3 mana. Let's see if they find their land drop. They're going to Brainstorm, so Terror is still available. My deck has sort of a hard time with Terror. I have 2 Snuff Outs, which help. So it's just basically, the Snuff Out is like a cast down that I pay 4 life for. I also have Toxin Analysis plus Krark-Clan Shaman. I already have the Toxin in hand. So let's be pretty protective of that if we can. Unfortunately, we haven't found any threats yet. Things like Refurbished Familiar are really handy. They're just going to Brainstorm, play their Seething Landscape, and oh, it's a Dimir Ninja deck. Very interesting. Okay. So if they're playing ninjas, then they're probably playing fairies. They're probably on Fairy Seers, stuff like that. So I'm unlikely to see terrors. This deck might play Spell Pierce. That's interesting. Okay. I think regardless of anything else, I'm going to Wildfire first. It doesn't get hit by anything, I think. So we'll just use our basics. That should be fine. And let's pull another green source out of the deck. All right. Let's Swamp, Wellspring, and we will play a Blood Fountain. And next turn, if this resolves, if it doesn't get Spell Pierced, then we'll just loot away a Twisted Landscape, I think. Unfortunately, we did not find a way to deal with this. We could have put up a Nyxborn Hydra or something, I suppose, but I didn't think it was worth it. So they're going to get some card advantage there for sure. But they're still constrained on mana. We'll only have 5 mana max. That will unfortunately get in. Yep. They find their 5th land. It's a Contaminated Aquifer, so they won't have to discard to hand size, and they're going to pass. They have open 4 mana, 3 of which is blue. Let's go ahead and loot away a Twisted Landscape. Losing lands is not something I love to do, but we need to get deeper to sort of our value engine here. Refurbished Familiar is a reasonable start here. If it gets counterspelled, we can just get it back with Blood Fountain. And the Lembas is going to be the engine by which we draw additional cards. We draw into Further Disputes, Eviscerator's Insights, stuff like that. Refurbished Familiar is hard for this deck to deal with. It also blocks their Ninja of the Deep Hours, so they're going to counterspell that. Not a big surprise. In that case, we will go ahead and... I don't think there's any land that I would specifically have to play, so I'll just go ahead and take advantage of the ability to play my Lembas for colorless mana. You don't need that. Put it on the bottom. You got a Galvanic Blast. They could have a Dispel for sure. And they could have a Cast Down if I put down a Nyxborn Hydra. I don't think there's anything that plays around everything. These decks are probably playing like 3 Dispels. I could, I can Toxin and draw for 3 mana. Probably not worthwhile. Blood Fountain only gets back Refurb. I could Blood Fountain for just Refurb and play it, discard their card. They can't counter it. I think I want to get more value out of it. Or I could play this as a 4/5. But then I couldn't Blood Fountain this turn anyway. Let's try the Galvanic Blast. Let's keep it simple. Hopefully no Dispel. They don't have the Dispel. Very nice. In that case, let's just go ahead and pass. They're going to cast a Brainstorm, which means they can't flash in a Spell Stutter Spray and Ninja it. This deck usually plays like 3 or 4 Ninja of the Deep Hours, but I think it usually doesn't play Moon Circuit Hacker, but I might be wrong on that. I'm going to look it up. Pass. They're going to crack their Landscape, sure. End step, sure. Dimir Fairies, alright. They play 3 Ninja of the Deep Hours, at least this build that I'm seeing here. Fairy Seer is fine. Unfortunately, I don't have much going on. They can just counterspell everything I do. Alright, that means I have to Blood Fountain now. But at least it gives me something to do with my mana. I don't have to Blood Fountain right now, but I do want to retain access to this Refurbished Familiar. And what else was I doing? Cracking a Lembas, right? Nothing amazing. They're going to reveal a counterspell. Okay. So they're going to counterspell the Refurb. Gotcha. And what else can I do? So I counterspell the Refurb, and then I Nyxborn Hydra. I could Toxin Analysis again, just for a draw. Which would I rather get countered? Refurbished Familiar or Nyxborn Hydra? I don't know. Well, Refurb. They'll counterspell. This is counterspell number 3. Oh, they don't counterspell. Very surprising. So they must just have a cast down here. Okay. Then let's go ahead and bestow. They can counter this. It's okay. Counterspell. Sure. I mean, I guess if they didn't counterspell the Refurb, that means they had removal, right? And if they had removal, they can play it now. Play a Thorn, sure. So they're going to remove the Refurb, and then I think I'm just getting killed by Monarch. It's too bad. Take 1. We'll see if they let me have my draw here. They do. I get a Toxin. Not great. Let's attack. Ah, they have a blocker. Right. We'll Toxin. So attacking there is probably not right. We'll draw off of the clue. Tapping those. Probably GG. Maybe we clean up with a Toxin. I'm about ready to go next game. Let's see what we draw. I don't want to take too much more time. I've already spent 8.5 minutes. Or 7.5? 7.5 minutes. Preordained top bottom. Another preordained, sure. No sneaky snackers yet. Very interesting. But they're probably playing them if they're Dimir Fae, right? Or does this deck just want the... Does this just play Spell Setters and Fairy Seers? So they play 2 Thorns. There's a Fairy Seer, okay. They have a good mix of flyers and non-flyers. So I think it's wrong to say that, like... They still have a counterspell in hand, right? No, they counterspelled the Nyxborn Hydra. Part Clan Shaman. Okay, we'll try it. If it resolves, I can... They probably Spell Stutter Spray. They don't. Okay. Let's Toxin it. They probably Spell Stutter that. Are they okay with everything that's happening here? It's not the worst for them. They could just spell stutter my Deadly Dispute that I draw or whatever. Let's go with... I want to sack the Wellspring. This is probably all not worth my time. We'll crack a Clue. Landscape. Let's cycle that. Chrysalis. Okay, I'll pass. Oops. So next turn, I get Chrysalis in play. I hope that they just flash in their spell stutter for more protection or something like that, but that's not likely to happen. They're the Lorien to 7. They're constrained on mana, but otherwise they're okay. They're going to Fairy Seer. Let's see if they have counterspell number 4. Another option is I can just play quickly. I'm only 2 minutes behind. And green... Chrysalis. Resolves. So, I don't want them to spell stutter my Cleansing Wildfire, and then kill the Chrysalis, and then get in with a spell stutter. There's a Murmuring Mystic, probably GG. I'm gonna have to just go all in with the Cleansing Wildfire and try to chain into some crazy things. Extract a Confession, sure. You're not gonna deck out. Okay, let's Wellspring. I would rather them spell stutter this. Sure. Wildfire here. So there's something that I could do where I could just like turn off all my stops and let them spend time to actually kill me. And I think I'm gonna try that. This is dangerous because it might mess me up for next game, but I want to get kind of the time advantage back. I'm gonna turn them on right before I lose. This is probably, it probably just takes too long to turn off my stops and turn them back on. Okay. Probably wasted more time than it earned me. Easier to just F6. I've heard of people doing that, so I thought I would try it. Okay. Next game. So, Snuff Out is interesting. So I know they're not playing Terrors, which is good. I did not see Sneaky Snackers. I don't think they're playing Sneaky Snackers. Breath Weapon is interesting because they have the Murmuring Mystic. Against Murmuring Mystic, I do want Cast Down. The things that I cannot snuff out are Gurmag Angler and Thorn of the Dark of the Black Rose. I can snuff out everything else, so I think I like the Snuff Out. So what are my cuts? I think probably Krark Clan Shaman and Toxin Analysis. The Heal Spellbomb does not do a lot, but it might be good to have as an artifact. On the other hand, I do need to take some things out. Makeshift Munitions is quite good. I don't know if they're going to be bringing in Blue Elemental Blasts or not. I do have some red spells, which they saw, but I don't think they should bring in like 4 or 5 Blue Elemental Blast. Maybe 2 or 3. Other cuts, they're probably going to play in Nulls, but I can't take out artifacts just for that. And Null also hits Nyxborn Hydra, which is interesting. It can be difficult to get in with a Nyxborn Hydra, unless I have the Duress, and then even then they can still cast it down and snuff it out. They play 3 cast down, 4 snuff out in the list that I'm looking at, which was just like an 8-2 at some random tournament. I guess I'll take out a Nyxborn Hydra. And then I'm going to be on the play, so I'll keep the Cleansing Wildfires in. They would need specifically Spell Pierce or Blue Elemental Blast against that, which is, you know, if they have it, they have it. Maybe the Pulse of Marasa. Kind of expensive. I like it to grind, though. Maybe I just bring in 2 Breath Weapon. I'll just bring in 2 Breath Weapon. They're not going super wide. I'm usually Breath Weaponing like 2 things. Okay. Mulligan. Keep. They're considering their mulligan. I think I'll put back a... Making land drops against these decks is pretty good. But removal is also pretty important. This is nice if things get out of control. So it's hard. I think I'll keep and put back a Slagwoods Bridge. I'm not going to have a super fast refurb. Pass. Hopefully they don't have Steel Sabotage. That'd be pretty good as well. I could bounce my land. I have the Cleansing Wildfire. Do I risk it? They could also have a Null. This deck usually plays... This list that I'm looking at actually has 0 copies of Steel Sabotage. It does have 4 copies of Blue Elemental Blast, but that's the way it goes. Do they have the... Okay, they don't. Nice, nice, nice. I'll get a Swamp. And pass. Get the Pulse of Marasa into my hand. They're going to Lorien Revealed or Brainstorm? Brainstorm, sure. I feel like that first or that second turn is so important. Whether or not your turn 2 play gets interrupted. It is important for Ichor Wellspring or Lembas, but it's backbreaking sometimes if your Cleansing Wildfire gets interrupted. That's one of my biggest problems with this deck. I feel like it has that point of fragility that Grixis Affinity does not have. You're going to pay 2 for an Augur, sure. They find a Snuff Out, alright. They have Snuff Out. I don't have a land drop. Let's Ichor Wellspring. I don't find a land drop. Do I Galvanic Blast here? Oh, it's not Metalcraft, so that's not an option. Pretty awkward. Okay, so my only play is to try to Galvanic Blast their Ninja and hope they don't have a Dispel or a Blue Elemental Blast. Assuming they have an untapped land to play first. They do. Okay. So that's what I've got to go for. They don't have a Ninja. All right. Sure. Okay, we found a land drop. That's nice. That means we can refurb, which they're going to want to counter. It also means that we have Galvanic Blast on the Augur of Bolas, if they give us that. Okay, that resolves. Nice. Discard the Snuff Out. Sure. I think I can pass here. Lorien Revealed, probably finding a Contaminated Aquifer. Yep. So they can Monarch on 5. Pay 2 for an Augur of Bolas, sure. Which means that I don't have to worry about a Ninja. They find a Counterspell, okay. Oh, they're not going to play their Contaminated Aquifer, so they want to leave open Counterspell. That's interesting. I'll take 1. I'm okay if they Counterspell the Eviscerator's Insight here. They do. Okay, I draw for the Wellspring. This land means that I'm still Metalcraft. I'll just attack. I was Metalcraft already with the refurb, but I'm still Metalcraft if they take it away, I guess. I wasn't really thinking. Alright, they play the Aquifer, sure. So Snuff Out is online, but that's more important for the Monarch. So I need to figure out a way to keep a resilient board here. They can get in for that much, that's fine. Yep. Do I Deadly Dispute my refurb here? Just to Pulse of Marasa it back? I don't know about that. Unfortunately, we're passing there. Nothing to Deadly Dispute. Still nothing to Deadly Dispute. An interesting conundrum. Play a Swamp. So they can Monarch, after which we can double Breath Weapon. Get in for 2. Sure. I'm fine with this race that's happening. 3 mana. Gurmag Angler. A little awkward. Breath Weapon Galv Blast kills it, but that's not good. Let's go with Deadly Dispute on Refurb. They haven't spent the they spent the Counterspell on the Eviscerator's Insight, I think. We're gonna counter that, sure. Played this. That might have been an extra Counterspell I didn't know about. And then we will get it back. Pulse. The refurb. We need to get some kind of value going, is our problem right now. And we're really not getting it. We'll refurb. They'll discard a cast down, sure. I have to remember I still only have 6 mana available, so I can't cast all my spells. I desperately need something. I have Eviscerator's Insight, that's something. Interesting. Okay, well, let's go ahead and block and try to Eviscerator's Insight. Does that get dispelled? It's counterspelled again. Is that their last counterspell? No, they have 1 more counterspell. Sure. They decide not to Ninja. They're going to preordain. This is really dicey here. I feel like they are being appropriately aggressive and putting me in a difficult position. And I'm not getting the value that I need. I have to cycle this, unfortunately. And I just get a land. Yep. Okay, so they could counterspell either the Breath Weapon or the Galvanic Blast. But those are only good together. If they have a counter, they can do it for 2 mana. Whether that's a Sneaky Snacker, or sorry, a Spellstutter Sprite or a counterspell. If they do something here, I'm gonna, I think, risk Breath Weapon Galvanic Blast, and they're gonna need a Dispel, but they didn't have a Dispel earlier. This is just gonna reduce their clock. It's not gonna get me back in the game necessarily. It's still a 2 for 1. If I were them, I would just pass. Pass priority. Yep. You're going to play a Fairy Seer, sure. I'm constrained on mana. I don't know what to say. So here I go down to 11. I think I go down to 11. And then I wait until I can go Breath Weapon and Galvanic Blast. Do I have to Deadly Dispute here? We'll try it. So if they have a counter spell, what does that mean for me? It means I'm still short on mana. They have a Spell Stutter Sprite. Okay, that's better. I'll let that enter play. And then I will Breath Weapon. So Deadly Dispute happens. I make my treasure. And then I'm going to try to Galvanic Blast here. That's going to happen. I should have checked if I was Metalcraft. And then I'll play a Drossforge Bridge and pass the turn. I should just take these off the board in case they have a ninja, right? Alright. I'm out of stuff. They're almost out of stuff. They could resolve the Monarch or a Lorien Revealed and be in great shape. Unfortunately, they do. And that probably spells the end for me. It does give me a window on this very next turn. If I get like a bunch of Casting the Fires, or sorry, Cleansing Wildfires, and let's see how they scry. And Lembuses and everything like that. I still have all that stuff in my deck. In terms of like utility artifacts, I have seen 1 Ichor Wellspring, so I still have 5 of those in the deck. I can't remember if I have Nihil Spellbombs. They have a land drop, it's just a Seething Landscape, it's fine. Cleansing Wildfire is a good start. Maybe now we pick up like a Writhing Chrysalis. Let's take a Swamp out of the deck, I guess. That is okay. What do I have? I have a Referred. Is my only creature? Are you serious? Okay. Do I do that? I think maybe I do that. This feels really wasteful, but it blocks their flyer, and it discards one of their 2 cards. It's an Augur of Bolas. That's a good card to discard. I'll block their Fairy Seer if they attack. I think I still have another Blood Fountain in the deck. Cast down, unfortunate. Let's see if they have a ninja. They do. They found the ninja at the perfect time. It's really unfortunate. Okay. That's probably game. I've said that's probably game a couple times, and then I keep having false hope. Fairy Seer, sure. They have 1 card in hand, which was a blind draw. Or maybe it was a scry off of Fairy Seer. It's hard to keep track and go quickly. Ichor Wellspring is a good start. Does that get countered? That does get countered. By Spellstutter Sprite, unfortunate. We have 1 more Breath Weapon in the deck, I think, or did I only bring in 2? I think I only brought in 2. I brought in 2, okay. So it's hard here. They get in for 4 and draw a card. It's a Vault of Whispers. Let's loot it away. And then if that doesn't work, we can concede. It's a Refurbished Familiar. It's something that can block a ninja if it resolves and discard a card. Maybe they're considering whether to counter it or just remove it. Or maybe they have a ninja and they think that I'll just block the Ninja of the Deep Hours so they can ninja their Spellstutter Sprite back. Or maybe it was just that Snuff Out does not matter to them. We're going to brainstorm, surely find something, right? You're going to crack their landscape. They want to shuffle, meaning they don't have Augur, probably. Block the ninja. Do you have another ninja for the Spellstutter Sprite? You don't, okay. They could have taken a counter, so they just counter whatever I do next. It's a Galvanic Blast, let's pass. Preordain, sure. Maybe I should have Galvanic Blasted in response to the Preordain. Beginning of combat, after attackers we can go. Alright, show me anything. Yep, another Spellstutter Sprite will do. And they have the ninja, and that is lethal. Alright, GG's opponent. Very well played. I just could not put anything together during that game 2 there. A solid 2-0 to you. We're 1-2 right now. Let's see if we can pull things back together and finish with a 3-2. I'll see you in round 4. Alright, we are going into our round 4, and I just remembered to turn on the score overlay. Sorry that I didn't have that turned on before. We're going first against Gashi Gashi here. Let me go ahead and just open my deck list on my second monitor for my benefit. And let's go ahead and go first. We have, unfortunately, an unkeepable 7 with just a single land. Let's go ahead and mulligan. Another thing I like about Affinity is that you can play Candy Trail and keep some one-landers. It comes up occasionally. This I will keep. We are not that close to casting these Writhing Chrysalises, so I'll just put one of those back. Not a great hand, but it's something. We'll lead off with a Twisted Landscape. You know what, let's just put down the Nihil Spellbomb. We can probably get our black source later. We need it. If we draw like a Snuff Out and want to use it, we can always crack this and not necessarily have to have the swamp available to tap on the same turn. They lead off with a Great Furnace into a Voldaren Epic here, so we're against most likely mono red, although it could be Rakdos Madness. This is a tough matchup, and it's the reason why I went up to the 4th Weather the Storm in the sideboard. Also, for a little bit, I was trying out 2 or 3 copies of Main Deck Duress. I have seen somebody do it, but it just makes you weaker into mono red if what you take out is the Toxin Analysis. I was sort of stripping apart the Cart Clan Shaman Toxin Analysis combo to try to make that work, and then I was just losing harder to mono red. They're going to Chain Lightning my face and put me down to 15 after combat. Not much I can do about that. And it looks like on this next turn we might just be going Dross Forge, Bridgic, or Wellspring unless we find something better to do. Yep, and that's going to be our turn. That does mean that we can go with, well, let's go ahead and start with the Ichor Wellspring. In case we find a Refurbished Familiar, I suppose. Nope, we'll just put down the Dross Forge Bridge. I could put down a Swamp to draw off of any Heal Spellbomb, but I think I would rather put down my tap land. The problem that this deck has against mono red is this is a deck that really requires time to set up with Cleansing Wildfire. They're going to Kuldotha their own Great Furnace, sure. Or wait, no, their Blood Token, excuse me. So this deck needs time to set up. It's the same problem that I had with Cleansing Wildfire in Mardu. And it looks like we're going to be dead here, probably. And mono red just doesn't give you that time. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So what I need at this point is honestly Cart Clan Shaman, and that might not be enough. But I think that's the start. Let's go ahead and play out my Swamp here, which will allow me to still actually cast the Cart Clan Shaman. I am getting a treasure from the Deadly Dispute, but let's not be stingy with preserving our colored sources. So I do have one more look for it, which would require me to spend my treasure at that point, but let's do it. I could also play Refurb, but I'm taking 4 guaranteed. Now I have to Ichor Wellspring for specifically Cart Clan. I have 3 of them though, so could happen. Now I literally just have to Refurbish Familiar, sacrificing a treasure. I can block 1. I'm taking 4. Let's not. They probably know we're playing Refurb, but let's not waste any time. So going directly into the sideboarding, we have 4 Weather the Storm for this occasion, as well as 3 Breath Weapon. Something tells me it's not going to be enough. Something tells me, but who's to say? In this matchup, when I'm on the draw, I absolutely like taking out all 4 Cleansing Wildfire. On the play, I could see leaving 2 of them in. This card is just so slow. We're going to take out the Snuff Outs as well. We'll take out at least 2 Cleansing Wildfire. And then there's a question of whether I should take out the Makeshift Munitions. I think I'll take out a Spell Bomb, even though it's valuable fodder to sack with Cart Clan, but against mono red, we're pretty happy to sacrifice our lands most of the time. And I think I'll just take out the Cleansing Wildfires. There is an argument to bringing in Gorilla Shaman potentially over Makeshift Munitions. Munitions is just a pretty slow card, but I can use it to clean up, you know, if we get to a late game situation. Whereas Gorilla Shaman is not as valuable because most of their lands are mountains and they don't need their blood fountains and such that much. So I think I'm just going to run it like this. Is there anything else I want to bring in? I could consider bringing in Cast Down over Makeshift Munitions. And honestly, I think I'll do that. Because the problem with this deck, especially if we're bringing out Cleansing Wildfire, is that we don't have a glut of mana to use on the Makeshift Munitions. So I just want, I think, good old simple removal. In this hand, we didn't get any of our sideboard stuff. In another life, oops, sorry for touching the mic there. In another life, I would definitely keep this because I was like, oh, we've got Toxin and we'll find the Krark, but I think we have to mulligan this. I can't be that greedy. This is going to be a keep, though. I'm probably keeping all of my lands. I'm just throwing back a Nyxborn Hydra. It's still not like an amazing hand. We don't have acceleration, stuff like that, but you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. It's possible they'll be bringing in Cleansing Wildfire to interrupt my Tomb Raider on 1. Dang it! To interrupt my or sorry, they'll be bringing in Cast into the Fire to interrupt my Cleansing Wildfire. So what you do is on 2, you tap your 2 lands, you target your indestructible land with the Cleansing Wildfire. They reply with Cast into the Fire, exiling it. You don't get the extra land or the draw, and you lose your land. It's like a triple whammy. And Cast into the Fire can still hurt because it can take my tap lands off the table and set me back, but not as bad as just walking into it with a Cleansing Wildfire. Here, I am tempted... Okay, how much mana do I have available? So if I Twisted Landscape, I can get a Swamp, and then I can play a Krark Clan Shaman. Krark Clan Shaman cannot currently sweep, but I'm playing the KCS as bait here. Is that reasonable? I don't think it is, because they are somewhat likely to just have the Kuldotha Rebirth here and not haste the creatures out. Let me explain my point of view as, you know, we pass into the opponent's turn. What I was considering is playing the Twisted Landscape and cracking it for black, for Swamp, and playing the Krark Clan Shaman as bait. They bolt the Krark Clan Shaman, so it soaks up 3 damage, whatever. And then on the next turn, I have 2 black sources and 2 artifacts, so I can double refurb and strip their hand. That's what I was considering. A Clockwork Percussionist, okay. So because I didn't do that, I now only have one Refurbished Familiar, which is not amazing. All right, Wellspring is good. So if they have Kuldotha Rebirth on the Synthesizer into land, into a Bushwhacker, that's really bad. Against that, I would want the Krark Clan Shaman. If I play the Krark Clan Shaman, though, they can just like bolt it and do it the next turn, and then I'm in pretty much just as much trouble. I think here I want to just play out a Wellspring. This might be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think it is. Now I have 3 artifacts on board. I'm Metalcraft, which means Refurbished Familiar is 1 mana. This also draws me closer to my next land, which I'll need for the Writhing Chrysalis. We found it. That's good. I can Refurb, which can trade with a Goblin Tomb Raider or soak up a Bolt. Here, I'm guessing they'll discard a land if they have one. This is not a stable position. I'm within arm's reach of stabilizing. They discard a Synth, which is pretty good for me, but that scares me about what's even better in their hand. But even in this position, if I can stabilize, they have a Reckless Lackey, sure. Will they Bushwhacker to push 6? They will. Okay. So I'm at 9. So if I can stabilize, I still need to Weather the Storm, is what I've been trying to get out. So I'll block. So I could play Writhing Chrysalis here. And do nothing else. Just have the Chrysalis. You know, sack my spawns to grow it. Eat the Reckless Lackey. Take 0. Or I could Refurb plus Krark Clan Shaman. Take one of their 2 cards away. But then they crack a Synth. They put something else on the board. I think I just want to play Writhing Chrysalis here. It's more mana efficient. It's sort of sandbagging my Krark Clan Shaman for later. I'm not getting any mana advantage off of the Eldrazi spawns because I'm just going to block and sack them. But I think this is sort of an awkward card that I want to play now. And it's going to force them to deal with it. They currently have 3 artifacts on the board. So because they have 3 artifacts, that means that they can Galvanic Blast if I block the Reckless Lackey, meaning the Reckless Lackey will eat the Writhing Chrysalis. So I might have to block the Goblin Bushwhacker here. Or sorry, okay, so they play a Goblin Bushwhacker anyway. So they're getting in for 4 damage here. I'm at 5. But this does mean I can eat a Lackey. Another benefit, actually, of playing this first is it means that I've already used the spawn, so I can safely just Krark Clan Shaman. So those are my blockers. Sack, resolve, sack, resolve. Nothing to do with that mana. So I can KCS, sweep for 2 potentially, and Deadly Dispute it, which is interesting. So I think I am going to tap this. Okay, so I'm going to Cleansing Shaman, and then I can sacrifice the Ichor Wellspring holding control, though it doesn't really matter because it puts a trigger on the stack. I'm going to draw a Galvanic Blast, sure. And then I can tap this for black, and then tap this for colorless, and then sacrifice the, probably the Slagwoods Bridge, actually. The Slagwoods Bridge holding control. And then I can Deadly Dispute the Cleansing Shaman. They reveal an experimental synthesizer. Okay, that's fine. Then I can play land. What can I do with this mana? I can't do anything with green, unfortunately. Do I just refurb card away? Let's attack. I'll just refurb a card away. Oh, I don't have... Hold on. Play this. I only have 2 artifacts. That's okay. I'll use the forest. No, I'll use this. I want to draw more lands. I'll take their Galvanic Blast. Nice. And next turn, I have another Deadly Dispute. They're going to synth, sure. Finding what? A Cast into the Fire, which they can use to exile my Refurbished Familiar or exile my Drossforge Bridge. They have a land. They're going to exile that. Sure. So that means that I'm taken off of all of my mana sources, which is awkward. Play this. I think I need to close the game. I'm not sure how to attack here. So if I attack for 6 twice, then I can Galvanic Blast them to death, but only if I get 2 more artifacts, which is tough to do. Although I could sack this to Deadly Dispute to get one of them. I think I'm going to go for the win, as weird as it sounds here, because I have a lot of haste creatures. They're limited by mana here, because cracking an Experimental Synthesizer costs 3. I get a Kuldotha Rebirth. Let's see if they find a Bushwhacker. They find a Reckless Lackey. Sure. They can do that. We'll swing in for 1. And then we're going to crack these for different colors. So we'll get a Swamp out of this one. And then we'll get a Mountain out of this one. And then I think we'll just get another Swamp. Or another... We can't get another Mountain. Another Swamp. Okay. Drossforge Bridge is very interesting. Oh, I have lethal. I have lethal. I have lethal. Do I? Oh yeah, because I only have to take these off the board, of course. Alright. Play this. Play this. I don't have the right colors. But I can get them with the... I don't have enough artifacts, though. Alright, we'll start here. I sacrifice... This is awkward. Okay, this is a bit of a puzzle. I want to take a second here. So I sacrifice a land. I have 1 artifact remaining. I can Deadly Dispute. Deadly Dispute would give me a treasure, which would allow me to find a Weather the Storm. That's pretty good. Do I allow myself to take a hit from this thing? I'm going to do this pre-combat. We're holding control. And then we're going to Deadly Dispute. I'll just leave open black because I can just use the treasure anyway. Alright, so I'm not going to sweep up the Reckless Lackey. Okay. So I think that means that I'm going to block the Reckless Lackey. So let's attack and pass. Spending all my artifacts made the math a little bit harder. I don't think there was a way I could turn on Galvanic Blast there and push enough damage. I still only have 2 artifacts, so that's still something I'm struggling with. I can Nyxborn Hydra for 3 extra damage, and I can also give the Writhing Chrysalis trample by doing that. They're going to crack their synth, sure. Getting a mountain, okay. They can play the mountain. Alright, pass. There's a Weather the Storm, good. Can I just push through somehow? I might as well play this forest. I think I just attack. I'll just attack. This might be wrong. Maybe Hydra math helps things. If they block, I'm happy. If they don't block, I'm happy. I'm just using a heuristic here. All right, they declare no blocks. That makes sense. I'll Galvanic Blast them. All right, game 3. So that was the first weather that I found. I was looking all game. Do I want a Troublemaker Oof just because it's a creature? I don't hate that, actually. What would I take out for a Troublemaker? Is it better than Cast Down? It might be better than Blood Fountain. But then I'm just removing all of my artifacts, you know? Okay, I'll take out a Cast Down for a Troublemaker. It's a creature. That's good. That's worth something. Alright. So, weird hand, full of a ton of interaction. No acceleration, but I have a sideboard card. I think I'll keep it. Turn 1 Lackey, sure. I'm at 19. We'll just go Mountain. I'm not in a rush to put out these Twisted Landscapes and crack them for their basics. I have plenty of basics already. All my colors are represented and not by artifact lands, so they're hard to kill. Unless they have Raise. I'll just kill it now. They'll play a Gorilla Shaman, sure. Kind of annoying, not the worst. They can't kill the Lembas with the Gorilla Shaman. And then I'll Breath Weapon before that becomes a problem. Let's go Lembas. Slagwood's Bridge is an artifact, which is interesting, but I probably just need more action. Writhing Chrysalis is good. So I'm probably going turn 3 Breath Weapon, turn 4 Chrysalis. Hopefully they summon some guys here. We'll attack for 1, sure. Maybe they're stuck on artifacts. Alright, they're doing nothing. Fine with me. I'll play a Forest and pass. Maybe they want to just have like a big swing with all of their tokens. Do them all in the same turn or something. Clockwork Percussionist, sure. I think that's fine. They could have Smash to Smithereens here, which would be annoying. Does this sacrifices as a cost, so that's fine. Okay, they're giving me a lot of time here. That's appreciated. I could play a Wellspring, but not while leaving open Breath Weapon. Probably just Chrysalis. I don't really know how I get hard punished by that. It seems like Gorilla Shaman might have slowed them down a bit. So just block the Gorilla Shaman if they attack here, and currently they're not attacking, I don't think. Just to get 1 damage in with a Clockwork Percussionist or kill a spawn. I don't think it's worth losing a Gorilla Shaman. You're gonna Kuldotha Rebirth, sure. I'm not that afraid of Bushwhacker. It's a bit annoying. What did they reveal with the Clockwork Percussionist? They exiled a Reckless Lackey, sure. We'll play the Reckless Lackey, okay. Do they have a land? They're just gonna pass. Alright, fine with me. So now I can just start holding open Breath Weapon, right? I also have the Krark Clan Shaman plus Toxin for later. I could swing with Writhing Chrysalis and try to start, like, winning. I don't think I need to. I think they're kind of locked out. Not of the whole game, but, like, in this situation. I feel like there's not much they can do. And again, I don't have any artifacts that I care about the Gorilla Shaman killing. If they want to spend 5 mana eventually to take out a Ichor Wellspring, that's okay. My Writhing Chrysalis might get caught in the crossfire of the... Alright, so we will sacrifice. Let that resolve. Sacrifice. Let that resolve. That's okay. Let's lock the Reckless Lackey. Should I take 4 here? I mean, I'm just gonna have to Breath Weapon next turn, right? I'll do it now. Okay. Do you want to spend a burn spell on my Chrysalis? You don't. Okay. Alright, let's put down a land. I only have 1 black source on board, which is a problem. I'll deal with that next turn. Let's attack. Yeah, I'm at 18. You know, I'll play Krark Clan Shaman. I'll pass. If they want to bolt my Shaman, it's okay. Sure. Realistically, I probably should have played the Blood Fountain there. But it's not the end of the world. Experimental Synthesizer, sure. Reveal a Mountain, okay. So they can Clockwork Percussionist, yes. And then they can Bushwhacker to get in for 4 if they want. No, they'll just do this. Okay. Let's crack that for a Swamp. And then now we have 3 black sources. That's probably enough. We have a land in hand. We'll crack this for a Forest. Got the Lembas. We have Toxin with the Writhing Chrysalis. I don't think we really need to Paratoxin with Krark Clan Shaman. Let's attack. Currently I'm winning the race. Gain 4. Sure. Lembas. Maybe we can find a weather. Deadly Dispute is good. Play this. Pass. They'll tap a mountain for... It's hard for them to get more than like 10 damage on board. Okay, there's a Kuldotha, sure. Find a Tomb Raider, that's good. We'll cast that. There's the Bushwhacker. Okay, so they got more than 10. Let's say okay. I'll get in. Let's tap these. Deadly Dispute the Ichor Wellspring. See if we find a Weather the Storm or something. A Breath Weapon. We can't quite use the Breath Weapon. Okay. Let's gain 3. So what I'm afraid of now is basically another Bushwhacker, but that's what I have the Breath Weapon for. Let's attack. We'll play a Blood Fountain. It's possible I had Lethal there. I didn't count. I don't think I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 6 to Breath Weapon. So if you want a Breath Weapon and Blood Fountain, we probably won't want a Blood Fountain, but we might. Let's do this. They have 1 redraw from a Percussionist and 2 cards in hand. So they effectively have 3 cards that they need to use to kill us. They are currently not Metalcraft for the Galvanic Blast. They're leaving that back. Okay. Cast Breath Weapon. We'll reveal a mountain, sure. Let's just crack a clue. And let's loot away a land. Are they gonna kill my Chrysalis now with a bolt? That's fine. I can get it back with the Blood Fountain. Let's make sure we have enough mana to do that. And then we will Krark in case something really bad happens, and pass. I don't think they can win. Reckless Lackey's okay. They can draw off of it if they want to. And then I might as well just tap out. Alright, we did it. We are 2-2. We beat Mono Red. Still very, very, very dirtily. It's probably me more than the deck, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, GG's opponent. Alright, on to round 5. I'll see you there. Let's see if we can get the 3-2. Alright, let's go. We have found our final opponent. For round 5, we're going first against Dragtar. Let's see how we do. This is a weird start, where we have 2 lands, 2 Wildfires, 2 Galvanic Blasts, and a Writhing Chrysalis. It's not the worst, but I need to find something else. Lands don't make it that much better. I think I have to mulligan. This is the problem with the deck that I keep talking about. Alright, this is doing something. I have an Ichor Wellspring. I only have 2 of these Toxins. Maybe I should be keeping Toxin, because the matchups where I need Toxin, I need it kind of quick. Whereas Snuff Out, I don't have a reliable way to get that online yet. So we'll keep, and we'll put back the Snuff Out. If we're against Glee, then, you know, you live and you learn. The opponent kept 7, unfortunately. They're going to go Plains into Judge's Familiar. Alright, we're up against White Weenie. This allows you to counter an instant or sorcery spell unless the controller pays 1. Sure, not a big problem. Let's get our Swamp online. We're kind of missing that Snuff Out, but, you know, if we really need it, I don't think we really need it against this deck. And hey, Judge's Familiar kind of turns it off anyway, so. But if we really need it, I was going to say we could shuffle the deck with a Landscape. Or Lembas. They play another Plains, and attack. Let's see if they have a main phase 2 action, or if they just want to hold up, I don't know, Raven Charm? Okay, works for me. You have a Cleansing Wildfire. Play a Vault. This also shuffles the library. Wildfire on the Slagwoods Bridge. Do you have Mana Tithe? Okay. Well, that would only tax at 1. Yes, use the ability. I have a Forest in hand. I think we can just get more swamps. We can Blood Fountain, because that's not an instant or sorcery, right? Yep, just Blood Fountain. They cycle in Eagles of the North? Sure, I was like, they do play Mana Tithe. They have it. Okay, Idyllic Grange will not work this next turn. Or is it Grange? I'm not sure. We're not really doing anything, but we can loot with the blood. We can play a Writhing Chrysalis if we find one. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. If we find a landscape, we can crack it and get it back with a Pulse of Marasa. So pretty slow start here for us, but it's lining up reasonably well. That might actually be what we do. That's funny. Or is it better to loot? I think getting use out of Pulse of Marasa is funny. I'm willing to try it. Just play this. And pass. We could also cycle with the landscape, but if we cycle, I don't think we can Pulse of Marasa in the same turn. Idyllic Grange on that thing, huh? Sure. You can just Galvanic Blast it later. 4 mana. Battle Screech. Troubling. But sure. Flashback Battle Screech. Don't flashback Battle Screech. Okay. Sure. Do it second main phase? Oh, yeah. Okay. Why don't you attack with the Judge's Familiar? That has Vigilance. Anyway. Take damage. Alright. We're in the end step. I will crack the landscape for another red source, I guess. I already have 3 black sources. And then I will green, black, black. Pulse of Marasa, the landscape. Get it back. And then do I loot it away? Does that make any sense what I just did? I guess what it did is I healed 6. That's what I did. Alright, sure. This is probably really dumb. I didn't even think about that. Okay, I got a Chrysalis though, so that's something. And a Refurb. Ooh, dang. Nice. And I am Middlecraft. Let's play Forced. Chrysalis. I'm getting the blockers for the birds. That's important. Refurb. I don't know if this Toxin Analysis will matter, but I want to leave it open just in case. They discard Plains. Sure. Pass. My life total is not under an immediate threat here. They can Raffine's Informant. Sure. Are they going to discard a Strands? Discard a Plains. Okay, so it's just a 2-1. They're gonna Idyllic Grange on the Militia Bugler. Okay. Are they going to Thraben Charm? They will. Nothing I can do about that. So now I think I just Toxin the Refurb and use it to block the Militia Bugler. And then if they sacrifice their Judge's Familiar, I'll just sack a spawn. Okay. Not a big problem, except we're taking 5. They're going to play a Thraben Inspector. Okay, they'll get a bit of value. They have 2 ground creatures right now, so Krark is not doing anything crazy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands. So I can't crack the Blood Fountain and also play the Chrysalis. But I can crack the Blood Fountain and play the Refurb. So that's probably worth doing when they're tapped out of Thraben Charm. Okay. I tapped wrong. I had to leave up double black for the Toxin Analysis. I don't think it'll matter, but that's what I was trying to do. And I'm going to try to leave these spawns around to make this next Chrysalis more relevant. I think I'll block I might block a Judge's Familiar with a Refurbished Familiar. We'll draw for the clue and pay 2 to cast a Coarse Skyfisher. Probably picking up a Thraben Inspector. You know, they picked up an Idyllic Grange, that makes sense. So they can buff that out of range of blockers, sure. Alright, I'll crack a clue and block. 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 Confirm blocks. Sacrifice. Tap. Crack a clue. Right? Now I have Galvanic Blast for the Coarse Skyfisher, which is handy. They can't get a Strands into the graveyard right now. Another Writhing Chrysalis is handy as well. I probably play both. I have 2 green and 2 red. Okay. So let's put this one on board before sacking a spawn to put the next one on board. And I think I want to leave 2 mana open, which means this one is just coming down as with 2 spawns remaining. I think that's okay. Oh wait, no, that's not how it works. I can't undo that. That's gross. That's gross. I forgot that it required certain colors. Okay. Yeah, that's just wasted. That's too bad. I was doing the count incorrectly. So I don't have the Galvanic Blast, which is a real shame. And I don't think it's worth just toxining to make a clue. But on the plus side, these still probably block everything relevant that they're doing. But that just should have been a lot cleaner. We'll crack a clue. We'll play a... Oops, sorry for touching the mic. We'll play a Plains, play a Steadfast Unicorn, sure. So if they decline to attack here, I'll just Galvanic Blast the Unicorn and take care of it that way. Yep. Ichor Wellspring is good. So we will tap... I don't think I'm playing a Nyxborn Hydra this turn, so I'll just tap these lands. Play a Drossforge. How important is this? It's important just because they push through like a lot of damage that I can't block. It's Galvanic Blast. And pass. I would like to be able to use the Toxin Analysis this turn. You're going to pay 2 mana. Core Skyfisher, sure. Probably just make another clue and draw off of it. Not having Breath Weapon is troublesome. This Toxin will always be better when I can actually gain life off of it. Clan Shaman is good. It's pretty good. So that cleans up 1, 2. It lets me draw 2 cards and kill 3 things. So I think I'm going to Clan Shaman. Is it worth using it with the Toxin? I don't think so. They don't have anything of relevance in the graveyard. Probably looks like I'm doing a big Nyxborn Hydra. Tap for black. Tap for red. Play this. Alright. Sack Wellspring. See what I draw. Let it resolve. Alright, I'm holding control. Sack Wellspring. See what I draw. Let it resolve. Sacrifice Vault of Whispers, holding control. And then tap Swamp and Forest to cast Deadly Dispute on the Clan Shaman. Wait. I already have mana floating. Okay, that was weird. Just some UI issues there. Kind of weird. Alright. We can probably get in for some meaningful trample damage next turn. Refurbish Familiar. Draw a card. Deadly Dispute, interesting. No need to use that right now. Play this. And pass. Is it worth... So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it worth swinging in with this one for plus 2? So plus 7 damage, 14 trample. I have 2 blockers. I lose to Guardian's Pledge if I do that? Okay. So they have 4 attackers. I would not lose to Guardian's Pledge because I have the Toxin Analysis. Ooh, what if we Toxin Analysis aggressively? Let's do that. Okay. I'll do that. Cast with Bestow here. And they don't have the Judge's Familiar, right? So that's done. And then let's Toxin. It's not Toxin. Let's attack. See if they block with anything. They don't block. Okay, we'll Toxin it. Gain 13. We'll draw a card with the clue. They're below Thraben Charm or anything. They scoop. Okay, that was game 1. Alright. Let's see how we do in game 2. We have Breath Weapons. That'll be important. I like having another copy of Nihil Spellbomb for the Battle Screech and the Strands, but I think that's all that it's good against. But I like bringing in Nihil Spellbomb if it's ever at all relevant, if I have stuff that I'd rather take out. Clan Shaman is mid. Take out a Clan Shaman. I think I'm going to take out all my Clan Shamans. Bringing in Cast Down could be good against Core Skyfisher. Now the question is, do I bring out the Snuff Outs or do I bring out the Toxins? I think life does matter. And I don't think their creatures are so critical that Snuff Out is important. I'll remove those. Okay. Again, slow, dirtily play, but we'll see if I can speed it up this time. Weird start. Only black lands and primarily red spells. They're starting with 7. Let's mulligan. Alright. Better. Keep. So I'm going to keep. I like keeping all my lands so I can tempo out a Chrysalis. I don't know if I used that word correctly. I think we can get rid of the Galvanic Blast and just try to Chrysalis game on them. Hopefully they don't have Revoke Existence here. Revoke Existence would not immediately end my life, but it would be really bad. They revoke existence, I'll need to find, like, Blood Fountain, Ichor Wellspring. I don't think there's anything that I'm worried about at instant speed, because revoke is sorcery speed, I believe. Swamp. Tap, tap. Wildfire. What could they have? Or two. Shattering Blow. I didn't know that was a thing. Well, that's really, really bad. Okay. Let's consider scooping. They tapped so fast for that. Wow, that's crazy. I guess people just don't play that because they'd rather play Revoke Existence to get enchantments? Interesting. So they can pick up a Plains and replay it if they want to. So I really need some stuff here. Swing one. Yep. Well, now I know to play around that. If I can. I'll play another turn or so. Cycle Eagles of the North, get... They always get the Idyllic Grange, even when I think they don't have another Plains. Interesting. I guess just getting taking tap lands out of the deck. Swinging for 3, yep. How much do I care about getting green mana on board right now, or red mana? Not much, so I will not crack the Twisted Landscape, just to make it more likely that I'll naturally draw a basic land. I get another Cleansing Wildfire, but nothing to do with it. Okay, I'll play a Twisted Landscape. I have 7 more tap lands in the deck. So I'll take 3, and then I'll search for a mountain, in case I draw a tap land. Another Writhing Chrysalis. Let's scoop for time consideration. Now, when I'm on the play, though, Cleansing Wildfire is a lot better. They don't have time to Shattering Blow me. Don't think about that too hard. Do I want to go back to Snuff Out? I don't think so. I think my life total matters in this matchup. So let's resubmit. I'm happy with the Cleansing Wildfires, especially when I'm on the play. I just didn't think they would have instant speed artifact removal. This isn't the crazy start, but I think it's fine. Let's keep this. How am I starting, though? Am I starting with a Twisted Landscape and fetching a Swamp? Or am I starting with a Slagwood's Bridge? If I start with Slagwood's Bridge, then I can draw in a Cleansing Wildfire. If I start with Twisted Landscape, then I can't. I think that's all the argument that I need. There might be other considerations about how quickly I get out Blood Fountain and stuff, but let's keep it simple. This is the final game of the league, win or lose. It's a 3-2 or a 2-3. Let's see if we get our money back. This is a difference of like $5, so it matters. Will I win $5 in this game? I get a Swamp. Okay. At this point, I have 3 lands in hand. I don't think I want more basics. I'll play a Twisted Landscape and pass. I will not crack this, though, until they tap out. Because I can't Deadly Dispute anyway. What am I thinking? Yep. Rafine's Informant does happen, yes. Maybe I should get a Mountain in case they take this land out, so I still have a red source so I can Breath Weapon. That's justifiable. But if I get a Swamp, then I can play the Swamp, and then I can Blood Fountain Deadly Dispute. That's more justifiable. Get a Swamp. Get a Swamp, play a Swamp. Get a Swamp, play a Swamp. There's the Wildfire. Okay, so I can do that and Blood Fountain. They can't get me here, right? Okay. Wildfire. They discarded their Thraben Charm. I haven't seen Prismatic Strands from them. And I haven't seen Lunarch Veteran. Now we can collect our Mountain. We could play Twisted Landscape, or we could get down the Blood Fountain. Let's get the artifacts going. If they take our land away, we still have a Forest in hand to cast a Writhing Chrysalis next turn. I'm feeling decent about this. We have Breath Weapon if things get too crazy aggressive, and Deadly Dispute when that starts to matter. It looks like they're going to Dust to Dust. That's okay. We planned for this. They're not putting on more aggression, so works for me. We don't need artifacts. Chrysalis. Right? So if they attack, I think we just spawn, block, and then use that mana, use that mana to loot away a Twisted Landscape. That's what I have in mind. 2 mana for a Core Skyfisher. On the Rafine's Informant. Okay. On the Plains. Okay, sure. Alright. They have Thraben Charm open. So Thraben Charm can get my Chrysalis here, so I'm not going to crack a spawn until I'm going to make them blink first. That's what I'm saying. Here, in case I want to Deadly Dispute and Breath Weapon. How likely is that? Pretty unlikely. And for that reason, I'll just play a Slagwoods Bridge. I am enabling their Dust to Dust this way, but I think it's okay. I can also cycle a Landscape if I want to, if I don't want a Deadly Dispute for some reason. Okay. They could still do the Thraben Charm thing. If they do the Thraben Charm thing, then I guess I just Deadly Dispute, move to blockers. We'll see if that happens. Destroy Evil, very interesting. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Okay. Deadly Dispute it. I thought Destroy Evil was for 5 or greater for some reason. Okay. Breath Weapon is not doing anything crazy here. Let's loot away a land, I think. Okay. We have the tools to rebuild. We'll start with an Ichor Wellspring, tapping red and black. Maybe it was a Blood Fountain this turn. Not sure. We can still do that with our treasure. Do I put the Makeshift Munitions on the board? No. So what's the plan? Am I just taking 5 here? I think so. I don't want to do anything. You're going to cycle their Eagles of the North for an Idyllic run. Grange, sure. Put a counter where? Probably in the core Skyfisher. Yep. Sure. We'll block 3 and use that mana to loot. I've been looting a lot. 5 minutes left. I don't know how I'm winning yet, which is a problem. 2 mana for an Inspector, sure. Let's see if they tap down from Thraben Charm. They don't, so they probably have a Thraben Charm. Okay. Chrysalis is good. So I can Chrysalis, and then Breath Weapon, and then Thraben Charm will not kill my Chrysalis. It's pretty good. I also still have the Blood Fountain open. But I don't have time to play the Makeshift Munitions. I'm going to try to progress through this mid-game relatively quickly. Okay, they're going to draw a card. I don't really want a Blood Fountain for just 1 creature. Sure. Did they find the Strands? I don't even know if they'll play it. It's not amazing against me. Discard a Plains, sure. They have 3 mana open, okay. Let's go block, block, and fine, block. Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Remosian Rally. We will Breath Weapon in response. They can still Strands. They can Guardian's Pledge. Very interesting. We'll let that resolve. We will Toxin Analysis. That's not needed, is it? Let's see what happens here. I want to see how this resolves. So right now, I am getting this down. That's going to be at 1. Let's Toxin. Okay, I have 3 minutes now to win. Unfortunately, my Breath Weapon did not clear up their board, but I can now get back to Writhing Chrysalis. I always tap for Blood Fountain like I'm tapping for Writhing Chrysalis, and it's not good for me. I've thought for a while that they have a Thraben Charm, but if they Thraben Charm the Chrysalis, that's not the end of the world. There is a mosquito freaking out and landing on my mouse when I have 3 minutes left in the game, excuse me. But they don't have a scary board anymore. 1 mana for a Judge's Familiar, sure. There goes the Thraben Charm. Unfortunately, that does happen. I'll preserve these spawns and take 6. We will play a Refurb to draw a card. We have another Refurb. Play Refurb to draw a card. Ah, maybe that next one. Maybe that last one is wrong. Another Refurb. Oh my goodness. All right, let's do this. Writhing Chrysalis. I find it really hard to play tight with this deck and play quickly with this deck. I can cast a Makeshift Munitions. I think I'll do that instead of Refurbished Familiar here. And then let's kill 2 other things. I have 1 minute 20 seconds. This is doable. You just have to be expedient. They don't have any flying blockers. Let's attack. If they do Guardian's Pledge things, I can Galvanic Blast. I just have to stay attacking. Refurbished Familiar. Wellspring probably doesn't matter that much. What was the card in their hand? It was a Plains. Pass. Sure. Crack a Clue. Yep. Yep. Sure. You play that. Target. Let's just kill it. Okay. And then I will throw stuff. Okay. Sure. Attack. I'm gonna pass through. I don't think I have time. Pass through. It's a Plains. Do I win? If I don't lag, I win. With 4 seconds on the clock? 3 seconds on the clock? We got there. Oh my gosh. I hate myself. I hate myself. Why do I play so slow? Oh, that probably should have been a 4-1 in this league, actually. Oh my gosh. Why do I do this? I hate Makeshift Munitions. It's so good in paper when you can just eat your opponent's clock. And it's fine, you don't have a chess timer. I'm gonna keep rambling, so I'll just see you in the in the afterward. Be right there. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those games. While I did, I am also sort of relieved they're over. Sometimes I just get into leagues where it's very stressful, where I find that I'm playing really slow, which is something that happened with this video because I just haven't really played Magic Online much in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, or really worked on a video much in February. So that sort of made it stressful. And it's funny because I've been playing just as much Magic the Gathering, if not more than ever, but it's been largely in paper. And, you know, the decision making of like playing silently in paper versus my friends or at FNM does not really translate super well into explaining my plays live and executing on Magic Online, which has its own issues and differences in terms of speed. But anyway, I hope you liked it regardless, even though the 3-2 probably should have been like a 4-1 at the end of the day. I wanted to go over some thoughts I have on the deck after playing the league, because this was a testing league after all, to see if I'm happy with the current build, if there are any tweaks I want to make, and whether I actually do want to bring this to that Pauper Championship that's coming up this weekend for me. So first, let me give some other additional impressions about the deck. It seems like the sideboard and the deck overall are pretty well tuned. This was good to know. I liked having the 4 Weather the Storm, although it didn't really come up in the mono red matchups. I don't know if I ever even cast one Weather the Storm against them, but given the fact that it was, you know, I wasn't seeing that many of them, that made me glad that I had increased my likelihood to 4, so I had at least maximized my chances, even if it hadn't really worked out. But the breath weapons still came in clutch, as did the Cart Clan Shamans, and I think I was gaining life off of the toxin analyses. On that note, toxin analysis is good. I think the more I play with this card, the more I see how flexible it is, how it's not really confined to the combo of Cart Clan Shaman plus toxin analysis, just using it on the offense to get a bunch of life gain when you swing in with like a 10 power Chrysalis or something like that, or using it defensively to, you know, block like a Gurmag Angler or a Tolarian Terror with like a refurbished familiar and just kill it with a toxin analysis. This card is so flexible, it makes an artifact, it helps you dig deeper and survive. I like it. It does what this deck wants to do. And that actually answered a question of whether I would prefer to lean this far into the KCS plus toxin combo, or whether I would prefer to take these out, as well as maybe like 1 KCS for some copies of Duress. But that would, I think, soften up my mono red matchup a little bit too much, so I'm happy with where I have it right now. Let me review some strengths that this deck has, and some of those will be in the context of comparisons to Grixis Affinity. Number 1, what I really like in this deck is I think that at any given time it's clearer what the win con is supposed to be. Just because Writhing Chrysalis and Nyxborn Hydra and Makeshift Munitions as well, there are just sort of more win cons in the deck, and the win cons that do exist are sort of more likely to happen, or they're harder for the opponent to deal with. In Grixis Affinity, yes, you can make an indestructible land with Kenku and get it back or something like that, but that's a little bit less impact. It's a little bit slower. With this, you slam a Chrysalis, they're gonna, you know, use all the resources to take care of it, you get it back. I just feel like this deck has a lot more closing power than Grixis Affinity. In addition to that, it is definitely less susceptible to artifact hate. I'm not sure if that really came up against that mono white player that I was playing against, But there was a time when they just had to dust like one of my lands in like a blood fountain or like a creature in a blood fountain or something. And I said, oh, well, at least I still have mana to cast more spells. I just had a bunch of basics. So that turned out pretty well. This deck is definitely not as, it doesn't fold as much to dust and other artifact hate as Grixis Affinity does. And then finally, there's also the Snuff Out diff. I didn't end up having to play against Brood Scale. I was sort of hoping I would because I wanted to see how well this card works and whether it feels like the difference maker, whether I really feel like I have as strong of a Glee matchup as I do, because I'm expecting to run into a bunch of Glee at this upcoming tournament. So I didn't really answer that question, but I will say that Snuff Out is just a strong card in this deck, and it's unique to a deck that plays swamps and ways to fetch swamps. But let's get into some weaknesses. And this is a rough one. This deck does have some color issues and a lot of ambiguity in the first few turns of how to use your lands. And it involves predictions, playing the odds at all times, sort of like, oh, is it better to, leave my twisted landscapes on board to tap for colorless and hope I increase my chances to draw additional lands, or should I crack them for a color? It's easy when you have that spell that you want to cast already in your hand, but if you're saying, well, should I crack my twisted landscape for a mountain, which would help me cast a Galvanic Blast, which is 4 cards out of, at this point, 52, having to do that math all the time it takes a lot of mental resources. And I think it also means that there's not always a right answer, and sometimes your starting turns will be a little bit awkward. But more than color issues, I think, is a more specific issue to Cleansing Wildfire. This card, to do anything really, or to, be, 50% of its potential, requires you to have a bridge. Yes, you can cast this and just trade one basic land for another or something like that, but it feels so much worse. So many times I ended up with these just stranded in my hand and no bridges. I had starting hands with, a forest and a swamp, a mountain and a swamp and a Cleansing Wildfire. It's like, can I keep this? And maybe I'm doing that wrong. Maybe I'm just supposed to sort of treat this as, 2 mana, cycle, pull a basic out of the deck, something like that, but it feels so bad. So I'm not sure. And if Cleansing Wildfire provides a lot of fragility to the deck, and it leads to a lot of mulligans, more mulligans in my opinion than Grixis Affinity has, is it worth the benefit that it provides? The greatest benefit of Cleansing Wildfire comes into play when you have a pretty specific start of a bridge, a wildfire, and 2 untapped lands, and a Writhing Chrysalis. That is 5 cards that you need to see by, your turn 3 or 4 to have a fast Chrysalis. A turn 3 Chrysalis is amazing. Very, very few decks are equipped with answering that, and it's just going to sort of, they're going to be immediately on the back foot, but it doesn't happen that often. And if you're not speeding out a Chrysalis, or you're not speeding out some of these big mana plays, like speeding out an Eviscerator's Insight, who cares? It's sort of hard to tell how much difference the Cleansing Wildfire makes when I'm like, all right, well, I have 10 lands. Without the Cleansing Wildfires that I cast earlier, I would have like 8. Does that mean I lose? If I only have 8 lands versus 10, am I losing the game because my Nyxborn Hydra can't be big enough? You know what I mean? Cleansing Wildfire has diminishing returns as you get more and more lands onto the board, because let's say 1 land is closer to 2 than 10 is to 11. That 11th land matters less than like your 2nd land. So all that is to say, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze per se. And if you're not playing Cleansing Wildfire, this deck falls apart, right? Because this does so much for the deck. It ramps you, it fixes your colors, very important in a 3-color deck. It pulls swamps out for Snuff Out. Don't get me wrong, Cleansing Wildfire is essential if this strategy is going to put something together. I just don't know if it surpasses Grixis Affinity for me. I don't know. I'm going to be doing some soul searching over the next 24 hours or so as I prepare for this upcoming tournament. Right now, I'm not sure what I'm going to play. It probably will depend on how I feel when I wake up in the morning. So with all that said, I think this is a great deck. I think this is a top 5 to 10 deck. I just don't know if it's the deck that I will play. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video today and this sort of practice Pauper League as I prepare for this big upcoming event for me. Remember, if you like this kind of Pauper content and want to see more just like it, a like, a comment, and a subscription would be amazing. Thank you so much. Again, we're pretty close to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for getting us this far. I think that I'm hoping that we, pass that barrier within the next month or two. That would be awesome. Super exciting. But I'll see y'all in the next Pauper video. Maybe a beginner's guide to Pauper. Maybe for Gruul Rep? We'll see. I'll see you there.